What's happening, everybody? Hey, 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 hey. Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Renee, back in the house. I'm back live, y'all. Whoa, there we go. What's going on, everyone? I apologize in advance. My voice is still not 100%. I'm still recovering from this cold that I got. Bottom line, or recap, I should say, in case you didn't know, or in case you didn't see any of the posts on the channel or anything like that. Over the weekend, just out of nowhere, I woke up feeling terrible. You know, post-nasal drip, sore throat. And the following day, it developed into a fever. Lasted like 24 hours. It felt like it lasted 2 days. And I've been recovering ever since. So I missed out on my usual streams on Monday, my usual stream yesterday. I'm, supposed to have uploaded by now my review of Longlegs. I didn't get to do any of that stuff because I've been basically knocked out. I've been out of it. I've been recovering. I tested. It's not the Rona. So I was clear as far as the Rona, but it felt like the Rona. However, the only thing I will say that I never lost my appetite, and I always felt hungry every day. So that is rare when you usually have Rona and all that stuff like that. So, but I'm back. I'm happy to be back. I miss streaming to you guys. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I could talk. Now I get a chance to finally talk about. So here's another funny thing. Because I've been sick, my head was all messed up. I had what felt like a headache that lasted for 3 or 4 days. I didn't have a chance to watch House of the Dragon. I didn't have a chance to watch The Acolyte until yesterday, like late last night. So that is unusual for me. Usually I'm on top of it like immediately because, I want to be able to talk about it as soon as I hit the stream, right? So I'm catching up on mostly everything within the last 24 hours, 48 hours. So I've managed to stay clear of all spoilers and all those kinds of things like that. And when I watched both episodes yesterday, I was just like, okay, some crazy stuff is happening here. And I can only imagine the discourse going around for certain things. So I'm very much interested and excited to talk about it with all of you guys. So big shout out. I see Arnold's already in the chat. By the way, as usual with my streams, I am live on traditional horizontal formats and vertical formats, depending on how you like to watch things. I am live so that you could watch things on your phone or on your TVs or on your iPads, whatever you want to call it. I love to provide the options because I've heard both people prefer different ways. That's what she said. So there you go. So big shout out, Arnold. What's going on, Arnold? Nice to see you here. I know you've been working long hours this week, so hope you are resting well. Kevin Davis, always chiming in. Love seeing Kevin Davis here. Joe Rogan, I'm not dying yet, at least not that I know of, but I appreciate the support. Kevin Davis, people expecting Disney Star Wars to create groundbreaking TV shows like HBO. That's never going to happen, no matter what the audience wants. DC needs a comeback. With the audience, give them a second chance. I agree. I think the only Star Wars programming that we've ever gotten that comes remotely close to HBO is Andor. Andor, for me, when I was watching that series, reminded me of an HBO quality type show. So I'm happy that at least they were able to do that, and they have the ability to do that. It's just all because, it's all because they do certain things for many various audiences, and they do lean more towards younger adult children and all those things. So it is kind of harder and rare to see that quality type of HBO like programming, but at least we got it with the Andor. So DC, as far as a comeback in the movies, they do. They need to come back there. But I think when it comes to their TV, they've always done decently, I think. Um, so they proved it with Peacemaker, which we're getting a season 2. So I'm curious to see that. And this Penguin show, I don't know. That looks pretty cool. At least from what I've seen the pictures wise. I've never seen the trailer that they last released. So, it goes to show you again how far behind I am with everything. But, that's going to change. I'm going to try to catch up with all that stuff. Joe Rogan, I highly doubt this is the Joe Rogan. Otherwise, you would have some sort of blue check mark next to your name. But I appreciate the attempt of, portraying such a well-beloved podcaster and comedian. So I've never listened to your show, but I appreciate that you like my content, whether that's true or not. So once again, also, if you are watching live, please don't forget, hit that like button. Would greatly appreciate it. It helps tremendously with the community. Every like that you hit, or every like that we get, an angel gets its wings. And the recent angel that is getting her wings is this lady right here behind me. I do want to talk quickly about Shelley Duvall, who passed away today. I believe she was in her 70s, right? But I saw the news today when the news broke, and it's tough when you get older. We're getting to the age now where a lot of people, people that we grew up watching either in movies or TV, it's hard because, it's that time when people are passing on, getting older. What's going on, Philip? I don't know what that is, but, I'm glad you were able to put it out there in your chat. And we have the fake Joe Rogan constantly chiming in, so I really appreciate it. But Shelley Duvall was a big, staple as far as like actresses for me growing up. Now, I know a lot of people will always remember her for, The Shining. I feel like that is definitely one of her most well-known roles. I will always remember her for her role as Olive Oyl in the live-action Popeye movie with Robin Williams. That was a movie that was always in heavy rotation in my home growing up, mainly because I had a babysitter who had HBO. And I've said this story before, and if you are my age, you know exactly what I'm referring to. This was back in the day when we didn't have cable boxes. If you subscribed to HBO, they had to hardwire something into your TV, and you had a switch on the back of your television that you would switch on and off every time you wanted to access HBO. And my babysitter had that. And the live action Popeye movie with Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall was always on, constantly. It was like one of those movies that you could always expect to watch every week. But she recorded it on VHS and gave it to me. And I remember watching it at home whenever I had a chance or whenever I wanted to. So Popeye was something that was also very big. And I recognized her from Popeye all the time. But the main programming that I recognize her from, and I don't know if any of you remember this show at all or are aware of this show, but she used to host a series. And I don't know if it ever aired. I think it aired on PBS here in the States, or in New York at least. And it was called Fairy Tale Theater. I want to just look it up real quick. Yeah, Fairy Tale Theater. Now, what Fairy Tale Theater was I believe there were 30-minute or hour-long episodes. And it was a live action reenactment of like fairy tales, Sleeping Beauties, Rapunzel, the Frog and the Prince, Little Red Riding Hood, all those type of stories. And these live action reenactments of these fairy tales were done by well-known actors. And Shelley Duvall was kind of like the host of the show. And she would always pop up in the beginning of the episode and say, "Hey, I'm Shelley Duvall. Welcome to Fairy Tale Theater, blah, 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 this and that." And she would like set the stage. She would like set the tone for the episode you're about to watch. And I always remember her as kind of like, this is the host, the person that will guide me into whatever this episode's going to be. And these episodes were fantastic, you know, because again, you had well-known actors, maybe not so much so before, but you look at it now. I mean, they had Pee Wee Herman in one of them. I think Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens was playing Pinocchio. I believe Robin Williams was in an episode as well. If you ever have a chance, look it up. I don't know where it's streaming or if it's streaming at all. They did one on Puss in Boots. I would love to show you an episode, but I think it is very heavily copyrighted. So I don't think I can get away with anything like that. But maybe what I can do is I'll show you, because I have all of these episodes. I got these episodes a very long time ago because I was very much interested in revisiting these episodes. But I remember watching these things as a kid growing up. Here, let me see if you could see. And here she is. This is an episode of Beauty and the Beast, right? But you could see her just pop up. You know, they always have her doing something, you know, or riding a horse, shopping around town in the kind of setting. And she would like intro the episode all the time. And these episodes, like I said, starred a lot of well-known actors and actresses. For Beauty and the Beast, we're going to see some of the credits here. And again, I hope I'm not going to get copyrighted here. But see, Fairy Tale Theater. I'm not playing the audio just in case. But, you know, it was very well done productions for the time. See, this one had Susan Sarandon in it, starring in this episode of Beauty and the Beast. I think she played Beauty in this one. You know, Stephen Elliott. I believe these came out in the late 70s, early 80s. Angelica Houston is also in this episode. And like at the time, some of them may have been known, but a lot of the times, you know, they were very, very small performers. You know, not a lot of people were aware of. You know, this was obviously when Paul Rubens did Pinocchio. This was before Pee-wee's Playhouse. He was probably a well-known comedic actor or stand-up at the time. But I'll never forget Pinocchio because, I mean, you look at Pinocchio and it's Pee Wee Herman. It looks just like Pee Wee Herman, which always like cracks me up. You know, here's another one. This is the Pinocchio episode where she's introducing the episode and all that. But let me just show you. Let's see where we get to see Pee Wee. And he comes to life. And there he is. There's good old Pee Wee Herman right there. See? Paul Rubens as the doll that is Pinocchio. So I'll never forget these episodes. They were a really major part of my childhood growing up. And, you know, she lived you know, a pretty decent life. I mean, I feel like after her performance in The Shining, or after her time in The Shining, acting is something that she kind of veered a little bit away from because she had kind of bad experiences working with, you know, the crew there and with what's his name, the guy who directed The Shining. My memory is all foggy too because of all the medication I've been under. And I think it kind of soured her feel of Hollywood. So I know she did something the last couple of years, I believe, but she had a lot of health problems too. So I believe it's because of the health problems she passed away today. So just wanted to take the time out to remember the great Shelley Duvall, because like I said, if you're my age and you're my generation, you remember her from many different things, and not just roles from The Shining and all that. So yeah. So if you remember Shelley Duvall, let me know in the comments some of your fond memories of this fine actress and all that. So, okay. I'm just checking on the chat. Yeah, House of the Dragon was pretty crazy, Arnold. Can't wait to talk about it either. Um, let's see. And just wanted to quickly check. Came home an hour ago. Must be out tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Wow. Yeah, Arnold has some early days that he has to work this week. So glad you can make it in, and I'm glad that you're able to join in on the stream today. And again, I do apologize. I'm still recovering from my cold, so if I sound out of it or if I sound like weak, it's because I'm still not fully recovered yet. I don't know if Philip is still here. I don't know what you're talking about, Philip, but it is what it is. It's all good and fine and dandy. All right, so let's get into some of these conversations here, right? So I think Jesus. You guys are too funny in the chat. Anyway, so let's get to talking about these shows here. And I think one of the things worth talking about right now, and and because I know Arnold can't wait to talk about it, is House of the Dragon. So House of the Dragon, so far this season has been very interesting. It's been very entertaining and very not stressful, but there's been a lot of anxiety because we know we're getting to a place where there's no turning back at this point, right? And every episode has been slowly building and building and building to what eventually is going to be the Dance of the Dragons, the crazy war, the fire and ice and all that. And the whole thing from the episode prior was, it sounds like, at least from one side, Rhaenyra was really trying her best to solve things peacefully. Snuck into King's Landing, met up with Alicent, and was just like, hey, look, we used to be girls. I still care about you. I still, we've grown up and we have these type of feelings and all this kind of stuff like that. And Alicent at this point is so in her mind that things are what they are. She heard what Viserys says, and that's it. There's no turning back. And she also kind of alluded to and tried to let Rhaenyra know that, look, at this point, things are beyond our control because there's so many moving pieces and everyone else around us is acting on their own emotions and in their own ways and the things that they want to do. So there's nothing that she can even do herself. It's way out of her control and all that. Joe, if you're going to continue being a derp like that, you're going to just end up getting banned because I don't think anyone is really fully interested in whatever you're trying to say there. So just everyone gets a warning, just letting you know. And I hate to be that guy. I never want to be that guy, but I get it. You like to be derpy and all that, but it's all good. Star-Lord is in the house. What's going on, Star-Lord? Great for you to join the stream here. It's nice to be back. There's some things I've missed, and of course, there's other things I don't miss. But yeah, right now I'm just talking about House of the Dragon, recapping that because I finally got a chance to watch it yesterday. So yeah, episode ended very epically where we just see Rhaenyra's like, all right, I guess there's no way to talk to her at this point, and there's no way to talk things in a more peaceful manner. So it is what it is. And the one thing I'll always say is that the actress who plays Rhaenyra, her facial expressions and her acting is always some of the best things that you see on TV. It was just, Emma Darcy, the way she portrays things, it's just amazing. And, we saw it at the end of season 1 when she found that her son passed away, right? How angry and distraught she was, right? And then we saw it throughout this season too. she's a mother that's grieving and not, understanding how to deal with many things. And not only that, but she's on the brink of war as well. So it's just seeing her portray a person with so much emotion and conflict within her is is by far some of the best acting I've seen on TV this year, right? And Allison as well. Olivia Cooke is doing an amazing job with her role in this season. No, Acolyte has not been discussed yet. I figured let's start with House of Dragon first because I know Arnold, who loves talking about it, may have to go soon because he has to wake up early in the morning. So let's just do things in order as they release, right? So yeah. So just a heads up there that the Acolyte we will still be talking about the Acolyte later on. So yeah. So let's dive into this episode. Episode 4 is called The Red Dragon and Gold, and of course that was foreshadowing of what this episode was really going to entail. And I have my handy dandy notes. As I said, moving on from now on, I am going to be taking notes on everything that I watch because my memory is usually shoddy, but so many things happen, especially on a series like House of the Dragon, where there's just so many multiple things happening at once. It's kind of hard to keep track. And name wise, I needed something. I noticed like when I started taking notes, watching the episode, that I'm starting to recall the names better. So maybe it's something that I should have done a long time ago. But so the episode starts off where we see Daemon, right? He's obviously in Harrenhal, still having these weird visions of a younger Rhaenyra, meeting her in the throne room over there in King's Landing. Almost very similar to, if you think about it, how season 1, where they kind of we were first introduced to them. It was kind of interesting to see, like, it's like kind of a reversal. He still sees her in the young version because I think in his mind, she never really grew up. She's still a kid trying to pretend to be an adult. That's why you kind of notice like her crown was really huge still on her head and all that. The one line that got me big time was when she said to him, "You created me and now you seek to destroy me," which is so fascinating because in a way we saw Daemon kind of groom her, when she was a kid. And then all of a sudden, now he wants to take her down. And he did so in this vision by chopping her head off, which was very, very interesting. A lot of heads being chopped off in this series. In this episode particularly, we saw one person's head getting chopped off. In a previous episode, a poor child, a poor kid got his head cut off. Game of Thrones loves chopping heads, I tell you that. And then there was another thing that she mentioned that it seems like his hatred is along the lines that his brother loved her more than him, which is another big thing to kind of bring up to him. And in a way, as he's experiencing his conquering of Harrenhal, and there was always rumors and things about this place being haunted for a while. And we're getting to see that more and more. And it's almost as if he's getting haunted by his own past and the things that he's done incorrectly, right? That's why throughout the episode, we see him having visions of every little thing that he may have been a cause of that's now becoming a major issue, right? There's, his visions of Rhaenyra as a child. There was one moment where he was walking through the halls and it looked like he was, chasing down Aemon down the halls. But this person turns around and turns out to be him, which in a way kind of says like they're both one and the same. They're almost the same type of person in how they carry out things, which is very interesting. Then he sees one of his ex-wives who maybe in a way he feels guilty of having her die because she wanted to go back to her hometown and he didn't want her to. And now she gave birth and she died during birth and blah, 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 this and that. So it's like the haunt is definitely back and the past is definitely back haunting him. And maybe there's a part of him that's feeling extremely guilty about all of these things that's happening. Right. Let me get to the chats real quick. Uh, what's going on? The best star MJ. Do you was at? I never went to a Michael Jackson concert. No. I wish I had a chance to when I was younger. Arnold, I think Vagar has been trained with the U.S. Army as well as. We'll get to that moment. That moment was freaking bizarre, but at the same time, amazingly brilliant when all that came down. Starlord saying can't see anything with title Dragon in it because it triggers trauma with Dragon Ball. Starlord, I understand Dragon Ball Evolution has definitely made a major impact in your life. And maybe there's a little bit more to dissect from that. So yeah, I am not in any position to do so. But the first, what is it? The first sign of knowing that you have a problem is acknowledging it. So at least you're on the right path there. And we get to see that, you know, Daemon, he's still trying to build up an army, but he's slowly realizing that, you know, those that he has access to are not that strong and not that willing to really do much of anything. So he's getting very frustrated because time is running out, because Christian is making fast movements in building up his own army and moving on to things. We get this nice little kind of, and again, we should have known the minute we started paying more attention to Rhaenys and her husband, because in the last couple of episodes, they've been highlighting them quite a bit. We should have known something big was coming from those things. It's so typical Game of Thrones at this point. But she had a nice little conversation with Alan. Alan is this guy that we've been seeing on and off throughout the season. And it was, you know, Alan who helped save Corlys when Corlys was down during battle. And she mentioned something like, you know, he has a very beautiful face. He must have a beautiful mom. You can tell that, wait a minute, is Alan a bastard son of Corlys? And I think that may be the case here. And you can kind of see like Corlys is like, woman. Well, he didn't really say that, but try to like, you know, push her mind towards whatever she's like looking at. We also see Alicent taking that abortion tea that we saw so much of in the first season. I think this was the tea that Rhaenyra drank when she was messing around with Christian Cole. And I think they also gave it to one of the girls that slept with one of the sons. I forget which one, but it was so present in season 1. So it was funny to see it back. And it's like a nice reminder that, who's this? Alicent is very, not two-faced, but she's going against everything she was against before. And now she's indulging in the same type of things. They had a very interesting conversation between Alicent and, whatchamacallit, and I call him the little finger of House of the Dragon, where you could kind of see that this guy may be onto her in regards to her affair with Christian, and quite possibly the whole appointment of her son being king when it wasn't her husband's wishes, and it was always supposed to be Rhaenyra. So I saw that kind of conversation more interesting, but we also saw that, you know, Alicent is slowly just putting in her own mind and convincing herself more and more so that this is the way. This is just how it's going to be and nothing else, right? So very interesting things going on there. Rhaenyra was still absent and has been absent for a while they're having this like council meeting, and they're wondering where the hell she is. Obviously, no one knew that she was in King's Landing. We saw Christian Cole taking over one of the locations there, which is going to be very big. They're referring to him as Kingmaker now, which is kind of like a nice callback to Game of Thrones, where they called the Lannister guy King Slayer, right? But that doesn't, it's not really a prestigious title. It's more of like a diss, right? So I find that very, very interesting. And I guess what that truly means is that, these are the people who are really loyal to Rhaenyra. So when they call Christian Cole Kingmaker, he's out there on this mission, on this kind of warpath to convince everyone else that it's Aegon who's king, when everyone feels that he is not the true king and all that. So hence Kingmaker, right? Well, during this council meeting, you could see like Aegon just has no interest really with whatever they're doing. And everyone else is just trying to work hard. It turns out that we find he's learning to find out more and more now that Aemon is working behind his back with Christian. You could tell that Aemon is still very bitter about being made fun of at the brothel. And we've already seen this before, ever since he was a kid. Every time Aemon gets made fun of, he finds a way to get back at you. And when he gets back at you, he gets back at you tremendously hard. So in a way, he's getting back at his own brother by saying, you know what, you're not really king. You don't know what the hell you're doing. So we're just going to do things for you. And basically that's what he's doing there. We also find out that I guess that Aegon doesn't know the Targaryen language, right? Which is, again, shows you more and more that he was never really serious about becoming king or serious about anything at all. Instead of hanging out with his friends, that he turned into his royal guards and pretending like he's very important. So I thought that was very interesting by their little conversation. Obviously Aemon is more familiar with the ways of the Targaryen, and Aegon is not, right? So it's just so interesting to see how all that is playing out. What's going on, Clone Wars for Life? Nice to see you here. We are talking about, I'm just recapping the last episode of House of the Dragon because I haven't been streaming. So I'm like slowly catching up on everything. So I wanted to talk about that. Star-Lord, yes, this is the legendary Shelley Duvall behind me, RIP. Found out that she passed away today. At the beginning of the stream, I gave a nice little tribute to Shelley Duvall and my memories of Shelley Duvall growing up. So if you wanted to check that out, you could rewind that, watch it in the replay. I talked about fairy tale theater, which is the one thing that really stood out to me when it comes to Shelley Duvall acting and all that. So, but Clone Wars, I hope you're doing well. Did you have your recent tournament yet? Was that this past weekend or was it this upcoming weekend? I don't know. So, let me know in the chat there. So yeah, I talked about Laris and his conversation with Alicent. So it's just an interesting, again, he is the little finger of this show. So he's like working both sides between the king and her. Let's see. And then we have this interesting moment where we see Aegon, kind of just moping around and, talking to his mom and saying, no one wants to listen to me. No one believes me. No one wants to hear my thoughts on how things should be done. And you can tell that he's still so much a little kid. And it was a kind of heartfelt moment and kind of sad too, because I think all he wanted was that comfort, like a nice comfort from a mom, but he didn't get it. Basically the mom's like, well, what do you expect? You don't really know what you're doing. And I'm just paraphrasing here. And she's like, everyone else around you knows what to do. All you have to do is just sit there and don't do a damn thing. And that's it. And of course, as a son, you don't want to hear that, right? You want to hear like, encouragement and all. So it was just very, very interesting to see all that played out. And I kind of, in a way, you do feel bad for Aegon because he is a child that basically had his childhood stripped away from him and forced in this position because of politics. He's not a true king, right? He never wanted this. And it shows. That's why he's not fully prepared. And everyone else around him is just basically doing things and all that. So it's kind of sad when you think about it. And seeing it all play out and all that. Checking on the chat. Next weekend, you have another tournament. Okay. You have a lot of tournaments. How was the last one? How did it go? This weekend, I have a showcase at Comic-Con in Tennessee with your sponsor. Who's your sponsor, Clone Wars? Hello from Russia. Well, hello from New York. What's going on? Scorched, what's going on, bud? Nice to see you back here. Well, actually, nice to see you again. It's nice that I'm back because I haven't been streaming for a hot minute. So really, really great to see you back here. Can I say shout out Tumpkin and Natasha? There you go, Scorched. 11, 5, 3, and DQ. Disqualified? Is that what you mean? Starlord says, hello, Russia from Louisiana. So we're all saying hello to everybody. Again, if you're wondering who I'm talking to, I have two separate chats going on because there are two streams concurrently happening. Traditional formats and vertical. So, interesting. All right, Clone. How do you feel? I guess what I should say is you're going through all these tournaments, which I know is not easy for what you do. How are you feeling with every result in every tournament that you've been going through? I think that's the most important thing. How cool is Golden Dragon? Look, yeah, Aegon's dragon is a very beautiful dragon. Very beautiful when it finally popped up. We're going to get to that in a minute. But at the same time, very, very sad to see what happened. This whole episode had so many mixed emotions going on. And it all culminated basically like in the last 20 minutes of the episode, right? Because one of the big things we also saw was that Cole, he's becoming more, at least from what I can tell, more arrogant because he has so much power. He's leading, these armies to join them and to go up against Rhaenyra's and her force and all that. And he's there with Alicent's brother, and it's just so interesting to see the juxtaposition between the two. Cole wants to do something during the day. He said it's better if you do it at night. It's like, no, they won't expect it during the day. That's why it's best. But he has a plan because this whole time he's been scheming and strategizing with Aemond, right? And we get to see that happen. And then we finally get to see also Rhaenyra's coming back to Dragonstone. And she admit that she was in King's Landing trying to seek a peaceful way out of this whole war. Everyone's just like, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you doing? And she's like, you know what? No more. Everyone confuses me confuses my leniency and my kind of passive ways as weakness. Well, no more. This is not going to happen anymore. And now it's time to action. So she's like, her son wants to be the one to kind of lead the charge while taking his dragon to attack Cole's forces. But it's Rhaenys who says, you know what? I'm going to do it. Because one, we need to take care of certain situations here. One, we can't have our own queen go out there in battle because if something, God forbid happens to her, what are we going to do next? Two, we can't have the son do it because the son is the heir, next one in line. So if he goes, who's next to take over the throne when she goes, right? So they're being very strategic about everything, where it's funny to see on the opposite side how things started to play out afterwards, right? So we have Rhaenys saying that she's going to go out, take her dragon, to meet Cole's forces. And then we get back to see Aegon. Aegon's drinking. He's drunk. He's just like, F this. It's like, I'm sick and tired of taking a backseat and not being taken seriously. So I'm going to take it upon myself and show everyone what I'm capable of. So he goes to his dragon all drunkenly. It's like, hey, buddy, what's up? I haven't seen you in a minute. Guess what? Let's go. Let's go to war. And he has his armor on, but he's so drunk, he can't fly the damn dragon straight. So the dragon's like flying willy-nilly all over the place and all that. And it's just so crazy to see that this kid thinks he's going to be able to do anything. And going out there and going and joining the battle and all that. And it's just nuts, right? So while the whole climactic moments of the episode is happening, and I'm gonna get to everyone's chat in a minute. I just want to finish my whole recap here. We see Rhaenyra talking to her son because the son's like, all I want to do is just help out. I want to show you that I am capable of this. And she's like, hey, I understand you can do this, but let me tell you this story that my father once shared with me. And she starts telling him this song, the story about the Song of Ice and Fire, right? Which is kind of fitting because now we have Cole's forces moving in on this one location, which was supposed to be a BS low location, right? What's going on, FightCon? Nice to see you here. Nice to see you again. It's awesome to see you as always. Arnold's saying, but they're both not that. Well, let's get to that in a minute. Clone Wars for life. I've been getting better scores, so I'm improving. Been training under 3 to 4 hours a day, so I'm pretty happy with it. Good. You know what? That's all that matters. You know, as long as you're happy with your progress and your performance, then because I've never experienced real competition with the exception of my time in high school when I used to be on the bowling team. So I know sometimes how it feels to accomplish certain things, but also maybe fall short on others. So, you know, no one ever really took the time to put me aside. Well, how do you feel? You know, the coach I had when I was doing really well loved talking to me all the time. But then the minute I didn't do well, he was just like, oh, well, maybe next time. And then never really like talked to me about my feelings and all that. So I think it's always important to address those things. So I'm glad that you're feeling good and you're being happy. You feel happy about your results. Thoughts on Acolyte episode? FightCon, I'll get to that in a little bit. Right now, I'm currently recapping House of the Dragon episode 4, just so I can, you know, finish my talk and review of the whole thing. So as Rhaenyra was talking to her son about that, the whole setup, like I said, Cole's forces are coming through. And at one point, it looks like they're getting demolished because they're marching. And these poor guys, they're like just marching out there and they're getting obliterated by all the arrows flying on from the castle. And like I said, this is supposed to be like a BS kind of thing. Not really, in many's eyes, not very strategic as to why you would want to take this over. But we learned that it was all a trap. It's a trap, as a good old Admiral Akbar would say. And what's that? Aemond, right? That's his name, right? Aemond, Eye Patch. Let's just call him Eye Patch. Eye Patch and his dragon were basically playing sniper, guerrilla warfare style, and just hiding in the forest for their moment to go out there and to really surprise attack everybody, right? But really waiting to see if a dragon would show up, because where this location was, it was very, very close to Dragonstone, where all the dragons are hanging out, right? So we see Rhaenys coming out, you know, so everyone's like, oh, Relief is here, the dragon is here. And her dragon is taking out a lot of Cole's forces. Aemon looked like he's about ready to go out there. And what happens? Here comes the drunken fool of a son flying out with his golden dragon. And Aemon looks pissed. He's like, damn it. But at the same time, he didn't go out to stop him. He's like, hold on. Let's wait. Let's wait. Wait and see what happens. And Aegon shows once again that he really doesn't know what he's doing, because he was really no match with Rhaenys and her dragon and in that battle. And one thing that was interesting that was brought up, and I think it was during the after show, the after episode thing, was because Aegon doesn't know how to speak, what's a Valerian, that maybe the dragon doesn't really understand his instructions fully well. He's speaking to him in the king's, you know, the king's language, the king's tongue, English, you know, attack, while you see everyone else speaking to their dragons in their tongue. And you could see the difference when they finally went head to head, that Rhaenys' dragon knew exactly what to do. And it was so brutal the way they were going back and forth. And this is the first time that we're actually seeing dragons fight each other. And I love the shot that they show of all the people on the ground level looking up, because many of them are seeing this type of stuff happening for the very first time in front of their eyes. And you are now fully realizing the effect and I guess the monstrosity, no pun intended, of dragons fighting each other. Because at that point, there's nothing you can do. You know, when you're on the ground level and you're one of these forces, what can you do to compete with something crazy like that happening? But yeah, Aegon was like no match. So Aemon's like, all right, now's my chance, right? Go up there. And what does he do? Now, I don't know. This is just my feeling. But you would think that this giant dragon that Aemon has is probably one of the biggest dragons on the entire show, right? And you could see everyone in awe and in amazement when this giant dragon just came out of the forest. And nothing good can come out of any of this stuff, right? But what does he do? You would think that this one dragon can basically take out both at the same time. But no, what does he do? He takes his own brother out. And it looks like, to me at least, he aimed directly towards his brother to take him out immediately. Maybe thinking he could take him out of the equation so that he doesn't have to worry about him anymore. Or maybe it's his chance to just really, really take him out because he's sick and tired of all this bullshit, right? And again, remember, he's still very bitter and sore of being poked at and made fun of and all of those things. So fire gets shot out. Freaking Aegon and his dragon gets completely burnt crisp. And they're now free falling and they crash land onto the ground. Christian Cole sees all this and he's like, oh no, what's happening? Starts riding out to meet and see what's happening to his king. Now, Rhaenys, we get to see, oh man, Aemon is here. And he's got the giant dragon. What can I do? The least she can do is try to stop him, at least, right? Or do something to injure him. So they go at each other. And again, seeing these major dragons battling each other is just bizarre and crazy. And, you know, you have, you know, blood being splattered and it's, you know, dragon blood. So it's all burning everyone on the ground level. So much, you know, casualties of war and innocent, well, I don't know, innocent, but people who had nothing to do with what's going on up there is getting demolished and burnt to toast because of the dragon blood. And the battle's fighting up. And she was able to at least get Aemon's dragon grounded for a brief moment. And the poor dragon's like crash landing on everybody, stepping on people. And we're seeing, again, the results of what's to come of this war of dragons. And there's nothing on the human side that you could ever do if you don't own one of these things. That's it. They're left to their own devices and all. So, you know, they start focusing a lot on Rhaenys. And she looks exhausted. She's you know, she's kind of burnt up a little bit because of all the dragon fire everywhere. And she's looking around. She's looking around. And you knew this wasn't going to end well. You knew. And the minute she gets over the one side of the castle, bam! Aemon and his dragon. Mouth, throat, that's it. You knew it was a done deal after that. And it was such a sweet and bitter moment when you see her dragon looking at her. You know, almost like in a way just being like, it's been a fun run. You know, I'm gonna miss you. But at the very least, it wasn't as brutal as what we saw happen when Aemon took out the son of the other son and his dragon. No ripping apart or anything like that. You know, the minute they knew the dragon was done for, his dragon let go and they just went through a free fall. And you know, Rhaenys had this is a very cinematic moment of her realizing that her time is up and that's it. And I saw one other person mention that it's very similar and reminiscent of her ancestor or something like that that shares the same name. She kind of died in the same way too. and she crash lands on the castle in that fort. And that's it. And it was a badass way to go, because remember, she was always the one that thought she should have been queen, the queen to be, or I forgot what the phrase was. And she went out in the way that only she could go out, right? At the very least, at least she possibly could have damaged a little bit of this dragon, because this dragon is going to end up becoming a huge problem, I think, for the rest of the season. And she passes away. Cole was taken out when Aemon's dragon crash landed on the ground, but then he got up, fog of war, blurry sound and everything, just looking at everything. The castle is halfway collapsed because of this dragon crash landing on it. You see Cole's forces, going in on it, and all of those things. And Cole, his mind is like, I need to see what's happened to the king. I need to get up and go over there. Finally gets up, goes on. We don't know where Alicent's brother is, by the way. You notice that we didn't get to see him, and he was supposed to be a very important figure here. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know. Could be, possible. But he goes up to the landing where the crash landing happened. Everything is fiery, burning up and all that. And he sees Aemon. And Aemon is approaching the crash site, sword in hand, right? And he's like, Aemon! And then Aemon is about to put his sword into his sheath. And he's like, kind of looking over like, what's up? It's like, where's the king? And he's just like, and Aemon finds the special dagger that was handed down from Viserys, keeps it, right? And he walks away. But we see, is Aegon dead? Is that it? And Christian Cole just looks completely out of it and just distraught over the whole situation. And then cut to black, end of episode, that's it. So a couple of things to think about here, right? First of all, what an episode. Oh my God. It's so funny watching an episode like this and then later on watching The Acolyte, because it is so different. We're talking about two separate forms of storytelling going on here. It's so bizarre to see the difference in storytelling. It's so different. But my question to you guys who watched this episode, and Arnold specifically, was Aemon going to kill his brother? Because why would you have your sword out? Why would you have that in the ready? In case he was still alive, right? Or was he planning to just end it? Maybe end his suffering if he was suffering? Because we don't know if he's dead. He looks like he's dead. And poor dragon looks completely out of it. So I don't know if the dragon's dead or what have you. But this is going to be a major blow to Alicent and the Greens. But this is also going to be very telling because Aemon looks very proud of what he did. No kind of remorse or second guess or anything. Unlike what we saw happen in season 1, where his dragon lost control and dragon went dragon and destroyed, the other son and his dragon. Nah, he looked proud. He's like, look, I did a thing. I was able to take down Rhaenys and all that. F those guys. And I'm going to do what it takes in order for maybe me to take over the throne and all that. Because if the king is truly dead, what's going to happen now? Who's going to be manning the throne? But that's the big mystery at this point. And if you saw the preview for the next episode, I think they're going to be diving a lot into that possibility as to, well, is the king dead or is he disabled? Is he fit to even rule at this point? What's going to happen to his dragon? What's the fallout going to be now that Rhaenys is gone, right? What's happened to this huge army that Christian put together? Are they all fully still intact? It's going to be a very interesting thing to see what happens on. But I think the main takeaway from this is this war is going to be brutal, is going to be disastrous for both sides, in my opinion, but also for the people of Westeros. They have no idea what's coming because most of these people, one, has never experienced war like this. and two, have never seen War with Dragons like this. And we already saw in this one particular instance how collateral damage is going to be bananas, right? And there's going to be major fallout. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see what's going to happen moving forward. But it makes for great television. And and if I was to do a Letterboxd rating, I'll give this a 5 out of 5 stars. This was a brilliant episode, very well done, probably one of the best episodes of the entire season. And we're what, halfway through it now with episode 4. So very excited to see what happens here moving forward. What's going on, Tiny Gucci? Nice to see you. I'm doing better. I'm recovering. My voice, I don't know if you could tell, is still a little off. And I don't know how long I could even stream today because I don't know if I'm going to be able to really talk much. And I have a lot to catch up on. But nice to see you here. Clone Wars, are you leaving? Nice of you to show up. I'm going to be talking about The Acolyte in a minute. I know this isn't a show for you, so I don't think you're going to be missing much, but I'm always happy to see you pop in and whenever you get a chance. So always good to see that. Philip has now moved from the horizontal stream to the vertical stream and is again putting up weird codes in the chat. If anyone else can decipher that, you will get an ice cream cone. Let's see. Star-Lord the Acolyte is doing its own thing, pretty much making Jedi more hated than dragons. Absolutely. I will talk about that when we talk about the Acolyte for sure. So it's interesting. So in the books, if he's not dead, again, I don't read the books, so I'm going to be just really, really interested to see what's going to happen as this show progresses and as this season progresses. So, but at the end of the day, I love this episode. This episode was fantastic. Philip, I'm a major fan of classic Star Wars, but I don't understand. Marfalump? Is that, even though I'm a fan, I don't know every minute detail of the original as much as, I guess, I don't know, as I should. Maybe you could help explain what all that means. Or maybe it sounds different or looks different when I'm reading it versus when I hear it. So throw me a bone, Philip. That's what I'm asking. Just throw me a bone. Yes, R.I.P. to the real queen. That was a very sad moment, and I think you alluded to this earlier. I feel like she knew she had no out from this, because if you think about it, she had to very much do at least something to help out Rhaenyra, right? But the minute Aemon showed up, she knew that this was going to be a very tough and challenging thing to do. She could have easily have gone away, right? She could have easily had just have left. But she said, you know what? I need to make a dent. I need to make an impact. So she turned around and decided to attack Aemon straight on. When it's going to have to probably take several dragons to take this dragon out. And I apologize. I don't know all the names of all the dragons, but Aemon's dragon is going to be a force to reckon with. And that's going to be a major problem. And I think you're going to be seeing, I don't know how it is in the books, but at least you're going to be seeing a team up have to happen in order to take this guy out. But at the very least, she was able to at least damage him just a little bit, right? We saw that the belly was slashed up quite a bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens because of that. Star-Lord, do I get an ice cream cone for spitting facts? Sure. What flavor would you like? Let me know. Philip, there's a like on this channel, even a docu on the making of Marfalump. All right, just one quick question to the chat. Anyone watching, does anyone else know what Marfalump is referring to? Let me know. Also, if you're watching, make sure to leave a like on the stream. I would greatly appreciate. Everyone else in the stream would greatly appreciate it too. Star-Lord wants the Acolyte flavor. Okay, so that would be despair and misunderstanding. All right. I just looked it up. Marfalump over at the good old Wikipedia. I'm a big fan of Wikipedia. Let's see. Marfalump was a character created for a tie-in campaign between Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and Pepsi. The character was realized as a digital creation of ILM, who collaborated with advertising agency BBDO. So it looks like this was all around The Phantom Menace. He was voiced by Billy West, who also did voices on Ren and Stimpy. And there's a short documentary titled The Birth of Marfalump. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest here. And no disrespect to you. I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm a fan of, the original trilogy. The prequels I tolerate, even though they're not for me. Marfalump, a promotional alien. Okay. Well, nice call. What's going on, Tanmish? I am from New York, U.S. All right, bro. I don't know what that has to do with anything we're talking about here, but appreciate the comment. Starlord, plain, deep hurting chocolate. That is the flavor of the Acolyte. Clone Wars is back. What's going on, Clone Wars for life? Tanmesh wants to be suggested some nice sci-fi series. Are you looking for like a streaming show, TV series, like that type? I like the other shows, and I like the prequels and sequels and classic Star Wars. Yeah, I'm a fan in general of Star Wars, really. I just love Star Wars. I don't get to read all the books. That's what, and I don't get a lot of these references. I apologize. Marfalump was not something that I was familiar with, but now I know. So I do thank you, Philip, for educating me. Arnold can't wait when the unclimbed dragons are coming. So Arnold, I think you have like a better expectation than most of us, because I've never read the books, right? So in a way, I'm kind of jealous, but at the same time, it is also very exciting because I'm experiencing all this for the very first time. But so far, since you are very familiar with the books, how are you liking the translation that they're doing now with the series? Do you feel like they're doing it justice, or would you say, you know what, maybe you should go read the books when you have a chance, because there's certain things that could be explained better? Tanmich is saying like Netflix or Amazon Prime Video for sci-fi shows. All right, anyone here in the chat, do you have any recommendations sci-fi show wise to suggest that could be on Netflix or Amazon? Sci-fi. I'm trying to think. On Netflix, Three Body Problem. Is that considered sci-fi? I haven't seen it yet, but I've been hearing good stuff about it. Would you consider that to be sci-fi? It's on my queue of things I want to watch. The thing is, like, I'm more of a movie guy. I'm not so much of a show person, so it's hard for me to. And plus, I'm behind so many things, so I don't know what is worth watching or not. Star-Lord, my biggest gripe is we getting too many shows, not enough movies. Yeah, they need to solve that problem that they have on the Star Wars side of things. I guess they're gonna wait to see. They're gonna wait to see what's gonna happen with the Mandalorian and Grogu. and then I'm sure that's going to help determine their movement in the future with Star Wars movies. Murder case solved thriller would also be good, and they will be planning to binge this weekend if we recommend anything. Um, what was it that? My gosh, my mind is so jumbled and mixed on so many things. Have you ever watched? Okay, I'm going to say this, but again, I also don't know what location you're in, because regionally you have access to different things. I think Lost is a great show to revisit. I know that it just went back on Netflix recently. I would suggest watching Lost if you have access to that. Arnold, I loved your Funko Pops. Some things are better explained in the books, but on the whole, they stick to the books very much. 5 out of 5. Oh, good. Well, that's good to know, because I know that was a major critique and criticism from the main Game of Thrones show, especially in the latter seasons, right? So it's nice to hear that. So you can't hold faith with all will be good in a week of time. Too slow, and they force flashbacks for explanation. Well, I don't know. I think TV shows still has a place, in Star Wars. Like I said, Andor is a great example of that for me personally. It all depends on what you want from Star Wars, right? If you want a nice 2 hour long storyline that kind of gets concluded by the end of it, and it's all self encompassing in those 2 hours, 2.5 hours, then yeah, I could understand like movies are a great thing. If you love that cinematic experience of being able to see Star Wars on the big screen, yeah, that's going to be great. For me, I do think storytelling can be well done in a series format if done right. Has Star Wars done it right all the time? No. And I think that's the main problem. But, I keep referring to shows like a series like Andor because I think that's the one that did it absolutely correctly. The first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian were great. But everything else that we've gotten so far have been 50-50 or bleh, you know. By the way, Star Lord, I love the fact that you love Hills Cop so much. I feel like that is like your big thing. Cinema is motion picture. Yes, it is. Hanmesh, I watched Picard and got bored. I actually feel the same about Picard, but I only saw season 1. I heard it gets better afterwards. So I do agree that Picard was kind of boring to me. You like Boba Fett? Oh, okay. Have you seen all the other Star Wars stuff? Have you seen Obi-Wan? Have you seen Ahsoka? I don't know if how familiar you are with Star Wars in general. The Acolyte for some is good, and for others it's something. So I mean, currently right now I'm watching The Acolyte. I think the last episode will be next week, and House of the Dragon. So Arnold, there will be a third season. We will have to be patient, and without spoiling the books, I have to say we will have to say goodbye. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Just like Game of Thrones, And it is definitely a show that is not afraid to take main characters out. There are consequences and there are stakes. So I love that they have that feeling, right? Yeah, every single thing from Star Wars. Time that you okay. So you sound like you're pretty caught up. I understand now why you're looking for recommendations. I don't know if anyone here has a recommendation for Tamesh. Let him know in the chat as far as a new series to watch. Ficon, this episode was pretty bad. Acolyte, in my opinion. Okay, well, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's move on, and let's talk about the latest episode of The Acolyte. All right. So we're now in episode 7 of the first season. We have one more episode to go. Acolyte season 1, episode 7. It's called Choice. And it's a very interesting title for this episode. Obviously, it sounds like choices resulted in a lot of different things for a lot of people in this series so far. And the one thing that we were patiently waiting for is an explanation, a true confession, the truth as to what really happened on that planet with the Coven of Witches, right? And I think now now is the perfect time because the season's about to end, right? And I love that we finally dedicated an episode where we're going back to Bandok 16 years in the past, and we're finally figuring out why the Jedis are there and why things led to where they led to, right? Which is, I think, one thing that we've been waiting for since episode 3 or 4 at this point, right? Now, to what Ficon says, I do agree. It definitely felt like a rehash of episode 3, but now on a separate point of view, right? Now we're going through the view of the Jedi here instead of the point of view of the sisters and the Coven of Witches themselves. I can't wait to see what happens with Vagar later on. I do agree. Pedro Pascal acting and Jon Favreau is great in The Mandalorian. I will say, though, season 3 was a little bit of a disappointment to me. Right now, Tanmish is watching The Boys every Friday. It's grown in fan base over in India. That's interesting to know. Tanmish, I just want to hear from your point of view, why do you think The Boys, the fandom, is growing so much in India right now? I'm very, very curious as to why you think that is. Because here in the States, from what I can tell, even though the ratings are growing, the interest is dwindling. I think a lot of people are losing interest in The Boys for some reason. So I'm curious why in India it might be the opposite. Arnold, I've seen too little of the new lightsaber. Well, we might see more of it. We never know. Kilnaka fight was very cool. I think Coral now might be the Sith Lord. I have thought, Khmer, almost Khmer, I flashback. Okay. I'm Ficon, I'm with you on a lot of those points there, and I'll get to them as I recap this stuff. So, okay. So, we're now in Bandok. We see that Jedi's on a mission. They're collecting soil, and you have Kilnaka, like those guys on the beach with the metal detector, like looking around, doing tests and everything. And you see Torabin looking very bored out of his mind. And the reason why they're there is because all life on that planet was supposed to be completely destroyed because of what they're calling a hyperspace disaster. Now, I had to do research on this. I had to look into this because these are referencing specific moments that happen in the High Republic books, and they kind of explain things. And I guess at one time there was a big explosion, or a ship exploded while in hyperspace, and because of that, you had bits and pieces of this ship landing in different parts of the universe, crash landing on certain planets, destroying some and obliterating others. And it was the Jedi that had to go out to these planets that were affected to kind of save everybody, right? So they're on this planet now because Bandok was one of the victims of that. And you could see that they're trying to figure out, is life coming back? How did all this greenery come back? And they're also looking for what they're calling the virgins in the Force. And we've already heard the virgins being talked about multiple times in the prequels and in the Clone Wars and everything else, and how it could create life, right? So they're thinking, is it why bring all this plant life back, animal life back? Could this possibly mean it could create human life and all, right? So we get to that moment where Saul sees his sisters for the first time at the tree, right? And you can really, one thing that really stood out to me the most is, why is Saul so invested in these sisters the minute he sees them, right? But something was alluded to prior to that, where Torben is Indara's apprentice, right? And you could tell that Torben's just like that very annoying teenager where he's just like, I'm so sick of being on this planet. Can we go back home to Coruscant? I miss Coruscant. Wah, wah, wah. I don't want to be here anymore. I miss my friends. You know, and Indara is trying to teach him patience, and you're on a mission, you get duty and all that stuff. And Saul and Indara have this interesting back and forth. They're like, he's, Saul is criticizing Torben and blah, 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 this and that. And Indara kind of has this little jab at him. It's like, well, that's the reason why you don't have an apprentice and I do. Almost as if he's like, he doesn't understand nuances and all those little things. So in a way, I feel like Saul lets his emotions, and I've alluded to this before, where Saul's emotions are being so put out in the open, which is very not Jedi-like, right? And in a way, his own wants and feelings of having an apprentice, for some reason, he has such desire to be a mentor to somebody. I don't know if something happened to him growing up, if he has daddy issues or mommy issues or something, but he kind of wants to be that person for somebody else, So he has this connection with the girls, or in his mind, he formed a connection with the girls that he really wants to do something with these girls. He feels like they're at danger and he wants to save them, right? And Indara is the one who's kind of being like, slow down, relax, maybe this is not what we're thinking here. So let's investigate a little bit. And we find out that it was really the Jedi that kind of broke into the Coven base, to the little Coven area, right? Like, they were not invited. They didn't say, hey, hello, can we come in? They literally broke in and they kind of invaded in a way. And we get to see that interaction for the first time. And we also get to see finally that what Torben was going through when he was being Jedi mind controlled, right? And I thought it was the Coral Mother doing it, but at the end, it was really Anastasia who was doing it, right? And Anastasia, just like a lot of Sith, just like a lot of dark side users, were using his own emotions to win him over in a way. And she's like, tell me what you want and I'll make sure that you can get it, or I'll make sure to lead you towards a path where it can happen. And we already know that he's like, I don't want to be here. I want to go back home to Coruscant. And the minute he confessed, that's when she knew she got him. Bam. And that's what led to him being taken over and basically told him, kneel before me. And that's why we saw him drop to the ground and all that stuff. And again, we see and we feel, we have moments where Saul just really feels that Osha was meant to be his Padawan. He feels this like during the test there he's administering to them. A nice little interaction with May also, where May for a brief moment was caught off guard on how nice the Jedi were being to her. And Indara knew how to really communicate better to May than Saul did. And, in a way, I feel like that kind of led to what we saw later on happening. Let's see. And a lot of it, at the end of the day, what happened and what led to the events that were happening were all a misunderstanding. Saul mentioned that May was marked during some sort of ceremony, right? While Osha was not. So in his own mind, he is formulating a story that is not even true. He basically says that Osha is refusing to be marked and doesn't want to participate in whatever this ceremony is. And he's under the impression that they're going to be sacrificed for the greater good of the Coven, right? And Indara is the one who's like, let's not jump to conclusions. cultures all have their differences, and we don't know exactly what's happening here, right? That marking could just be part of the culture, right? We don't know. But Saul is so hell bent. It's just like, no, the kids are in danger. The girls are in danger. We need to save them. And very much to like what I alluded to before, it just shows us that the Jedi are not perfect beings at all. They're very flawed. And we could see in this episode that all the Jedi we're looking at right now, maybe with the exception of Kalnaka, are very flawed individuals. And, the prestigious Jedi that we knew in Star Wars lore and history may not always be the case all the time, right? And this show is definitely highlighting that for sure. All right, before I continue, I just want to make sure that I check back in with the chat. I apologize. Tanmesh, different type of content, showing weird things, blood, shedding scenes, crazy activities in the boys. I guess those are some of the reasons why they're becoming so popular in India right now, which is very interesting to hear. I wonder if that's also a result as to why Indian filmmakers are making more violent, crazy, absurd action movies that are coming out, like this movie Kill that just came out recently that I'm curious in checking out. So I wonder if that is like this new fascination now coming out of India. Arnold, do you think we will see Yoda? I don't think we're going to see him in this season. I don't know if we'll get to see him at all in this series, but never say never, right? Arnold, why don't the bodies of the Jedi decompose? Normally the way they handle dead people is they burn them. That's a very common Jedi ritual. Or if you are at that level of Force user, you find a way to be one with the Force when you pass on, right? That's what happened with Obi-Wan. That's what happened, I think, eventually with Qui-Gon. No, Qui-Gon they burned. Qui-Gon they burned, but he found a way to be one with the Force. Yoda, that's why he kind of disappeared, right? So those are the two ways dead bodies are handled in kind of the Jedi way and all that. Quick reminder, everyone, again, if you're watching live, don't forget, hit that like button. Tamesh says, yeah. So that's interesting. So I wonder, and Tamesh, maybe you could let me know of this. Do you think we're going to be seeing more and more like violent action content coming out of India soon? We saw an amazing action movie last year with RRR, right? But it wasn't violent. Kill, that's coming out this year, or that came out now, is extremely violent, right? So do you think this is going to be a new trend from India because they're seeing stuff like The Boys, and now this is their new fascination? I'm just curious because I'm always find it very fascinating how other cultures and countries see movies and filmmaking, and what do they borrow from like American movies and cinema. Vicon, they use it for what? Find Force, just stupid in that case. Why do they have the metal detectors? Yeah, I thought that was really funny, honestly, Vicon. I hope you're still here. The way that they were kind of surveying the area looked very odd. I guess they didn't have any other better idea as to utensils they can use. Star-Lord, do not center around your anxieties. Lady, you got yourself centered around a knife. Hey-oh. That's a little jab, no pun intended, at Indara. That's so dumb. They wasn't in danger. They have a savior complex. Absolutely. Again, Saul, like, for some reason, Saul was under the impression that those kids were in trouble. He didn't kneel. It was more like cardiac arrest or like a shock to the back, right? He had a force stroke. I think he got force smacked in the head. Tanmesh, Indian movies are adopting the trend of the 80s, like Rambo and Terminator, like Saw series or Wrong Turn series. That's interesting that you say that, because I feel like other countries are following suit. Last year, we got Sisu from Finland that borrowed a lot from Rambo and John Wick. So I guess that explains how that's happening now. And again, I find foreign cinema very fascinating, extremely fascinating. Because I grew up loving cinema in America, so I love to see what influences these other countries get. in their own filmmaking. So I'm seeing a lot of those similarities. So very, very interesting to see that. All right, back to the recap here. So, yeah, I wrote down here on my notes. I felt like Saul is being very selfish. He's so focused on his own needs and wants, and not really what's happening in front of his eyes. There was an interesting quote that was given. I forgot who did it. Hold on. Oh yeah, when they were interviewing May during the whole Jedi quiz that they were giving her, right? I thought it was very interesting that they were brought up and told that everyone must walk through fear in order to get to the next level. So that solidified the idea that the Coven of Witches were really more focused on the darker side of the Force, utilizing emotion to tap into this Force. So they have very Sith-minded ways of thinking about the Force, but they're not necessarily Sith, right? Just like, and again, I spoke about this before, in religion throughout centuries, everyone follows religion in different ways, right? So when you think of the Catholic religion, there's a lot of different sects of Catholic religion. Jedi and the Force, there's many different ways of following that, right? So I found it very interesting that that was what they were taught, and that's how they're tapping into the Force, which is very much what Kimir was trying to tell us. Quimir, however you want to pronounce his name, is that there are other ways to tap into the Force, not necessarily the way the Jedi are training you to do. You can use your emotions like anger, anxiety, fear, to just use that to tap into the Force, to utilize it to the way you want to use it for. So I find it, his ways of thinking are very similar to what the Coven is saying. So it makes me wonder, wait a minute, does Kimir have a specific tie with this Coven? Who knows? It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Tanamesh, I wish I could give you some recommendations, but nothing is coming out of my head right now, man. I'm so sorry. Give me some time to think about it. I'm not that quick recommendation guy. I'm sorry. Anyone else in the chat, if you could help recommend something for Tanamesh to watch this weekend, that would be greatly appreciated. Arnold, where she put the mask on, you have seen that you have almost nothing through the eye slits. How does the Sith manage to fight so well with the mask? I think that was pretty much explained by Kimir, that he uses so much of his Force senses that he's so tapped into the Force that he could just feel where to go, where to move, who's here, who's there. It just kind of shows you how strong the Force is. What's going on, Aggressive? Nice to see you back. It's been a while since I've seen you. Let's see, Ficon, I don't think that we will get to see Plagueis at all in this series. I don't know. I wouldn't say no to that just yet. I think there may be a tie with him yet in this. It might be interesting commentary on Jedi where everyone is special. You still want to feel special. I'm not a scientific research mission. It's a rescue. Get the lightsaber out. It's witches. Yeah, I know. There's for some reason they're so reactionary, right? Instead of doing the research and doing the investigation, they're just so reactionary. It just doesn't make sense. I think that's Coriel's the Sith. I don't disagree. I hope not, but I hope she's just a strong witch. Star-Lord, just wait, they might do a season 2 of that Acolyte. They are. I think season 2 was already greenlit for the show. Because Leslie Headland, I think they like what she's doing with it so far. Jester, what's going on, Jester? Nice to see you. I haven't been streaming in a minute, so it's so awesome to see people come back and pop in. So I'm really happy to see all of you guys. Don't forget, make sure to hit that like button too on the live streams. I would greatly appreciate it. Arnold, will we see Darth Jar Jar Binks? I think someone should just make a fan. If they haven't done so already, there should be like an animated fan-made film for Darth Jar Jar, because I think that would be hilarious. I think it would be very, very funny. Jester, can't wait for Long Legs tomorrow. You're in for a wild ride. I will tell you that, Jester. Because I've been sick, I haven't been able to upload my review of the movie because it's been well over a week since I've seen it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever wood I have, that I can either upload it tonight or first thing in the morning. But I think you are going to be in for the ride of your life. Star-Lord, it's official. Acolyte is the new Star Wars. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be very angry to hear you say that. There's so much discourse that this show has caused, but whatever. Jester, I saw it. I was invited to a screening not this past Monday, but the Monday before. Yeah, I went to a special screening sponsored by Neon and Letterboxd. Look, when you do what I do here on YouTube, sometimes you get perks, sometimes you get privileges. So I'm very honored about it. And I've been meaning to do a review on it. It's just, unfortunately, I got sick over the weekend, and that totally took everything out of me. All right, continuing on with this episode. So Indara, during the whole Jedi test between the girls, you know when Saul was testing Osha, you could sense that she felt something was off, something was just not right, and Saul was being accused of coaching Osha, right? And then they did this whole thing where they took their blood. We saw Torben do that. And the M counts, we already know what M stands for, good old metachlorians, were extremely high for both of them. Very similar to like Anakin, right? But there was a difference because the special coding didn't make sense. Instead of being was that coding of two individuals, it was coding for one, but split into two bodies. So they share the same conscience, but it's two bodies. Hence why they always have that mantra between themselves. What was it? Always one, born as two, or whatever that mantra they keep telling themselves. So this proved to them that not only is this the result of a divergence in the Force, but this could be the infamous dyad or kind of the thing that Plagueis has always been looking to accomplish and achieve with Palpatine. So because of this, Torben's just like, take it out of here. This is exactly what the Jedi have been looking for. We need to go over there, get the girls, and let's get the hell out of here, right? And so he acted very, like an idiot, very much like a teenager. And everyone's like freaking out and all that. And then we get to finally see behind the scenes of May and why all of a sudden she became very angry at Osha and what's happening. And Mother Coral basically was coaching her and say, you want to save your sister, you have to be able to defend her and blah, blah, blah. Here, take this, take that. Get angry. Basically telling her, get angry, use your anger, tap into the Force. But you could tell it kind of went overboard. And in a way, she didn't know how to fully control it, right? Because even when she locked the door up and, Osha's like, please open the door, she's staring into the fire. You could see something was taking over. And that was the dark side taking over. And she was just, lost in the moment. She burnt up the book. And she threw the fire down, but she did not realize how bad it was going to get. That was the moment she snapped out of it. And that's why she ran away calling for her mom. But it was just interesting to see Mother Coral just like coaching her and just be like, get angry. Let's see. Other things I wrote down. So the Jedi finally, not the Jedi, it's Saul and Torben now. Finally get back to the Coven, and everyone is getting ready for battle, right? You have Anasea, Coral, the rest of the Coven there, just ready to attack. And Saul is just like, hey, I'm here for the girls, and all that. Arnold saying he's going to the toilet now to get some of his dark side off. So there you go. Wow. Star-Lord, if you can't beat him, join him, then beat yourself.
I'm gonna come.
That's one way to put it. So 1 × 1 = 2. That's Terrence Howard's mantra. Heyo! Star-Lord with the quick quips. I love it. And, you know, so you can see Anastasia has a conversation with Saul very quickly. But things are looking to get escalated because Mother Coral, all she wants to do is fight. She's very tapped into the dark side right now. And she's like, the Jedi are here to ruin things. They're here to steal our children. I will do whatever it takes to protect my child. Right? And Anastasia is just trying to be a little bit more diplomatic. You know, with Saul, Torben is just there. He's going to be reactionary. He's going to do whatever needs to be done, right? Well, Saul's like, you know, what you're doing here is wrong. I want to save the girls. And in a way, she's trying to say like, hey, it's not always what you think, buddy, right? You don't always have to be the main voice in the universe, the savior and all that. And she said something very interesting that I wrote down. I actually, as I was watching the episode, I went back like at least 5 times to understand what she was trying to say. And she said something. She said, someday those noble intentions you all have will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy. Now, we all know what eventually happened, right? Look at the Clone Wars. Who were the ones that actually allowed and led the Clone Wars to start happening? It was the Jedi. Look what happened to them because of that. Jedi were all apparently destroyed, with the exception of Ahsoka. You know, we had in Rebels, right? What's his name? Survived. There was a splattering of Jedi that survived, but basically the Jedi, as they knew it at that time, were completely wiped off the face of the planet, the face of the universe, right? So very interesting foreshadowing there, and I love that moment. I love it. Now, because of all this that was happening, right? You can tell, all right, things are about to go nuts. And in this very cool shot moment, you had Mother Coral in a very defensive stance or attack stance. You had Torben, saber out, getting ready to battle. Because May came out, and May's just like, Osha, we have to save Osha, right? And then all of a sudden, we see Anastasia, like she was turning into a ghost and being vaporized with the Force. And May was almost like as if the Thanos snap was turning, right? Now, some people would say like this is maybe like the Night Sisters. They know how to teleport. I think this is very different. I think they have a way to fuse themselves into other people. And again, this is what exactly happens later on in the episode when we get to see that. And I feel like she was trying to fuse her way into May in order to get May back and save Osha. Saul, not knowing what's going on, reacted. And his reaction was violent. And he decided to stab Anastasia. Bad move, Saul. Not very Jedi-like. Or could be Jedi-like, but not smart. Right? Didn't really know better. And because of all of this misunderstanding going on and a lot of reactionary stuff, that's what started to lead to this whole mess that's happening now on this planet. I don't know, JJ, I don't know why you're calling me a shill. I think that's you know, I'm talking about a show that I sometimes enjoy and sometimes question. So I don't know how that makes me a shill. Arnold, the dark side is now fully withdrawn from him, so he is now fully a Jedi. So awesome to hear that. What's going on, Soundwave 934? We are talking about Star Wars. We're talking about the latest episode of The Acolyte. Nice to see that you love Star Wars. Star-Lord, the power of many noble intentions. She hasn't met Han Solo yet. Ficon, I have a weird feeling that Coral might even be Plagueis, but that wouldn't make sense, actually, because Coral is a she and Plagueis is a he. Unless they do something, which I don't think they're going to do. Unless they change the script, right? Unless they change things around, where we've already seen them borrow stuff from Legacy and utilize it the way they want to utilize it. Could they maybe change it here? I don't know. I think it will be a major backlash if they do it that way. But I agree. I don't think Coral is Plagueis, but I do think she is a Sith Lord, I think. What's going on, Key Plays? We are talking about Star Wars and the latest episode of The Acolyte. I'm going through a quick recap and review of it. So Saul stabs Anastasia. She dies, right? All a misunderstanding. And they figure that the best way to fight these guys is all of them, all of a sudden, I guess, fuse their way out of that whole situation. And Mother Coral is communicating to Saul, using the Force and saying, you should have never brought him along. And Saul immediately thought, oh, she's talking about Torben. And Torben thought the same way. And Torben's like, no. I'm aware of your ways, witches. I'm not going to be, taken over again. And she's like, I'm not talking about you, stupid. And then they look up and, oh no, Kalnaka, no. They took over Kalnaka's mind, and now Kalnaka is under the control of the witches, and we see them all hover together. They're all like doing their chanting. It's a collective Jedi mind trick. It's a collective taking over of somebody's mind. So you can imagine how powerfully strong this is, right? And the reason why Kalnaka is there is because Indara is still trying to diffuse the situation. She doesn't want any of this to happen. She knows that this is not going in the right direction at all. So she's asking Kalnaka, please drop down there. Get them out of there. I have the ship. Let's get the hell out of here, right? Now, what did I write down when Kalnaka took over? When Kalnaka's got his mind taken over, the first thing I wrote down was, how do you defeat a Wookiee Jedi? We've seen Wookiees fight. However, we've never seen a Wookiee Jedi fight before. And my God, this was an amazing fight sequence. And we saw exactly why Torben's face became the way it was, because he was wrecking shop. They tried their best, every which way they could, to stop Kalnaka. And plus, mind you, they knew this is not real Kalnaka that is attacking them. This is a result of the Coven taking over his mind. And it was just batshit crazy. And they tried their best. And Indara was the one that was able to swoop in, and with her, as much power as she has, go into Kalnaka's mind and wipe the Coven away. Now, the entire Coven of witches all passed out, right? I don't think they died because of that. I think they just got knocked out, right? But the assumption, I think, that everybody had was they were all dead. I don't think so. And that's why I strongly feel like Mother Coral is still alive and around. So Indara instructs Saul, save the twins, save the sisters. Because at this point, that's the best they could do at this moment, right? And we're already here, might as well do that. So Saul goes over, tries to save Osha and May. We see them at that weird kind of like, it's almost like the middle of the Death Star with the power reactor and all that. The bridge is broken. They're both about to fall down. And you see Saul using his force to try to save both of them, right? And he's too weak. He can't save them both. He's trying his hardest, but he can't. So in the split second, he decides, you know what? I had more of a connection with Osha. I think Osha is meant to be my Padawan. Bye, May. I'm going to focus on Osha. What the hell? Not very Jedi-like, buddy. That is such a wrong thing to do. And For me, this reminded me a lot of like prequel Star Wars, you know, when Obi-Wan was fighting Anakin and he knew he didn't want to, but he had to. He knew he didn't want to leave Anakin there to die, but he had to, right? This was a choice that Saul made on his own to sacrifice one for the other, right? The better one, the one that he was meant to be. And of course, this is going to end up biting him in the ass later on, right? So Saul saves Osha over May. And now you kind of understand why, you know, May has this grudge against all of those guys. The Coven, I said they're all passed out, you know. And one thing I wrote here is that it's very evident, again, if we haven't learned already so far in this series, but in this episode alone, the Jedi are extremely flawed people. And everything was done because of a misunderstanding. And you would think the next best course of action would be to tell the Jedi Council to be truthful and all that. But nope. Indara decided on her own to say, like, you know what? We can't tell people what happened here. We need to keep this a secret. So we're going to have to lie. And the minute Osha wakes up and she's like, what happened? Saul looks at Indara. Indara's like, all right, well, hey, May was the cause of everything. May started the fire. And because of all that, everyone died. And that was it, right? And it ended very abruptly at that one moment. And then all of a sudden it felt like I was watching a CW episode. Because for the very first time in all of Star Wars history, when it comes to TV series, they start playing a hip-hop pop song. And I was like, I wrote down, what's up with the hip closing music? Doesn't feel Star Wars. What is this? The CW? And then afterwards I wrote down, oh, this must be the latest hit from Snice Noodles. If you know who Snice Noodles band is, I think he was around for a very long time, and this must have been the latest single from him in the band. And that was that. And that was the episode there. So that whole ending, I don't know what that ending was about. I was not a fan of that song. It didn't feel right to me. But that was a choice. It was definitely a choice, right? But we finally got the explanation as to everything that happened in the events on that planet. We got a lot more details and info as to why were they there in the first place. You know, why did Saul feel the need to have to save these girls? Even though that's still, I feel like Saul's character still needs to be looked into, why he has these certain feelings and connections and needs and wants and why they're so strong. There's just something there that needs to be explained and explored more. The Jedi, once again, are shown as flawed individuals, and they have a habit of hiding things. I brought it up in a previous stream where Yoda was hiding from the Jedi Council in the prequels that the Sith were still around. He knew they were. I think Mace Windu knew too, but they both were in agreement that they can't let everyone else know. Venestra is hiding stuff from people. You know, we saw in the previous episode in this season where she's like, we can't tell everyone the truth because it's just not going to go well and all that. And now we see Saul's lying, Indara's lying. I think Kalnaka is so taken back from everything that just happened. That's why he became a hermit, and that's why he kind of got himself out of the order. Now we understand why Torben kind of was self-punishing himself and put himself in that stasis for a while, and then why he eventually decided to kill himself, you know, because of all that burden that was put upon him because of everything that happened there. Now we finally understand what's happening. Did I like the way it happened and went down? I'm 50-50 on it, honestly. Was this a strong episode? I thought this was a decent episode. It was okay. If I were to rate this on Letterboxd, this would be a 3 out of 5 stars. But in the end of the day, it just solidified more, in my opinion, what I knew or what I felt the series was trying to dictate. And what it was trying to dictate was that the Jedis are not the special Jedi prestigious people that we always felt them to be, that they are very flawed. And because of the way they think and the way they try to control things, things like this started to happen, right? And there are multiple ways to look in on how the Force is studied and, used and trained upon. And it's because of, in a way, the Jedi's interference that are causing people to have kind of mixed feelings about the Jedi. And maybe it's because of that and because of their own doing that they are now going to be causing a resurgence of the Sith. It starts with Khmer, or Chimere, however you want to pronounce it. May is alongside, even though she flip-flops. I don't know what's going to go on and what's going to happen there. I think at the end, I don't know if we'll see it in this season or maybe next season, but I think both twins are going to end up dying because I think their existence is causing a mismatch or an unbalance of the Force that no one can explain or control. I do think Mother Coral is still around, and maybe is the master to Chimere. Who knows? They may eventually explain that maybe Chimere is Plagueis. Right? Chimere has been around for a very long time. He said so himself when talking to Osha. He used to be a Jedi a very, very, very long time ago. Or maybe Plagueis is still around there. We just haven't been introduced to this person yet. So yeah, so that is my thought on The Acolyte, season 1, episode 7. Overall, it was a decent episode. There were some things I was questioning. I had to write things down. I had to kind of, at the end of the day, it kind of solidified things that I was kind of thinking already as the series was continuing. Now we got the explanation and everything, and yeah, it is what it is. So it's something that you're either gonna love or you're gonna hate, and that's just how it goes. So let me know in the chat your overall thoughts. I know Ficon thought this was a weak episode. Let's see. Ficon said that would be so weird if they changed, because in canon it's a he. Palpatine says he when he's talking to Plagueis and Anakin. True. That's why I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to make Mother Coral Plagueis at all. I don't think that's going to be a possibility. That wasn't bad, but then again, I love fight scenes. It tells its own story. For Star Wars, it's the only payoff. We're talking about the Kalnaka fight. It's a flashback of failure on display. Absolutely. A major misunderstanding gone wrong, right? This is what happens when you interfere with... This is what happens when you interfere with things that you do not know anything about. Isn't that something that was said in a Star Wars movie or whatever? Then again, that's something for... yeah, it needs to be an epic score. I don't know. It didn't feel right. When the episode cut to black, there should have been a very, ominous sounding score. Something that was very epic, right? Instead, we got hey, dude, it's the Force. I'm twins. I'm one, and one is two. And I'm just, I'm not. I'm being very free with my interpretation of it all. But that's what it kind of felt like. It kind of felt like, this big thing happening, and we got to keep alive, and all this stuff happening. I'm recovering from. Oh my gosh, this is what's really went down, and all that. And all of a sudden, fade to black, and and I am two with one and two, and all this kind of stuff is making me sing. It's just it just didn't feel right. It didn't fit well with the episode, so I thought it was kind of weird. Jedi is not flawed. It should be the Sith messing with them, like Anakin. No, I think the Jedi are still flawed. They're flawed individuals. Especially when you look at it, maybe during this time. They are so high on rules, but not all of them seem to want to follow those rules. Saul didn't seem like to want to follow the rules too much. So Torben was being very teenage angsty, right? Indara, even though she's probably the more senior of the Jedi of that group, and more of the follower of the rule set, she decided on her own to lie and not be truthful. Venestra doesn't seem to be following the same rule set and all. They are very flawed and a messy group. And I think this is a revelation that it's because of how truly disorganized they are that it's going to come back to really bite them in the ass at the end. Yeah. And I think that's why maybe eventually Osha wanted to leave. And I think that's why also when you look at back at Jackie and her character, she wanted to follow the Jedi so closely, but I feel like she feels or she misses that freedom that she once experienced and had. And that's why she kind of had that attraction to Osha. She kind of wanted to be as free as Osha. You know, so checking on the vertical, nice shirt. Looks like the fight between Django and the Sand. Yeah, this is a very old let's see the best way to show it. It's Boba Fett. Boba Fett versus some weird creature. I don't know. But yeah, it's like a nice little Japanese manga interpretation of Star Wars. So thank you. Another hi from Russia. Hi from New York. Vicon, off topic, but have you played Star Wars Old Republic game? A very long time ago. A very, very long time ago. That was one of the best storytelling of Star Wars that I've seen or I remember playing through since the original trilogy, you know, and I really, really enjoyed it. I never really fully finished it, but I've always wanted to go back to it. If you have Amazon Prime and Amazon Gaming, I believe starting today, you can download for free Knights of the Old Republic 2 from their platform. If you sing that again, George Lucas will come for you. I may just. Don't spoil the game. I'm currently downloading it. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Now I'm not going to say anything then. Everyone, I think, should experience it for themselves whenever they have a chance. It is a fantastic series. Fantastic series. There's supposedly there's a group. Is it Aspire or some developer? They're trying to do a remake of Knights of the Old Republic. I think because they were part of Embracer, they were having some issues, but they got out of Embracer, and basically they bought themselves out, and they're trying, at least they say, they're trying to still develop that game. So I think it is long overdue, and it definitely deserves a remake so that more people can actually experience it and play it. Downloading the free one, though, it might be the wrong one. Where are you downloading it from, Vicon? Just out of curiosity. And Star-Lord, this is for you. We are one, but we are two, and we know the Force, and we're twin sisters. And this is Star Wars, and this is Acolyte, and ba ba beep boop. Hey, shut your mouth. You know, when I created Snice Noodles, you know, and the Cantina band, and the band that you saw in Jabba's Lair back in the day, it was my idea to turn them into an actual real pop group. But the people at Fox said I was crazy and I shouldn't do that. So when I did my special editions, I gave them a lead singer, you know, because I wanted to have their first single come out with the special edition, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. My kids loved it, and it was a great hit, you know. So I was the first one to create a Star Wars pop song, you know. that's just my opinion, and you know, fuck off, fuckers. George.
Wow.
How dare you, George? We have children watching. Vicon is downloading it on Steam. Is it Knights of the Old wait, there's a free Knights of the Old Republic on Steam? I hope you're downloading the right one. And if not, and it's something different, I'm curious what it is. No, just Old Republic. Oh, it's just Old Republic. Oh, what game is that? Hold on, let me look. I have Steam. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Steam. Where's my Steam? Yeah, George will likes to come back from time to time, um, to remind us that he's still very much aware of the Star Wars discourse happening all around us. You know, so. All right, let's see. My Steam is loading. Let's see what Ficon is talking about. Once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. Everyone else here would appreciate it as well. We all love the community. What did I just say? Community? Wow. I'm still recovering, yo. I'm not fully healed up yet. We all love the community, and we're trying to grow it. So liking helps for sure. Okay, Old Republic. Oh, The Old Republic. What is this? I've never seen this. Star Wars The Old Republic is a free-to-play. Oh, it's an MMO. Oh, this came out in 2011? I am not familiar with this game at all. Puts you at the center of your own story-driven saga. I'm looking it up right now. LOWKEY. Oh, I like that. LOWKEY. That sounds actually really good. Hard to pronounce, but I like it. What would you name your... I struggle with that, honestly. I feel like the name of the community, the name of the followers should be created by the community, not by me. You know? Because I feel like that's a little bit, I don't know, pretentious. What would you like to call yourselves? We could hold a vote. Actually, Ficon, I think, now that I think about this, because you say you could play as a Jedi Sith bounty hunter or one of many iconic roles. I think I played this briefly, long time ago. I think I created a character that was like a bounty hunter, or no, it was a smuggler. It was a smuggler, but I didn't play long. I didn't play much of it. I got kind of bored. I'm not like a big MMO guy, so. But when it comes to story, I'm not really sure what story this game tells you. But if you play it, if you download it and play it, let me know what you think about it, Ficon. I would love to hear about it. What your thoughts are on it. Whew. You're gonna give it a try and see what it's all about. Okay, yeah, let me know what you think about it. Because if it's the same game, a game I played, because I think if I did play it, I played it when it first came out in 2011. I think it was very clunky at the time. So I mean, all these years later, they could have made so many updates and improvements to it that maybe it's a fun game. I don't know. But I would be curious to hear your thoughts on it for sure. Well, Starlight, you are always going to be known as the Knight Rider. I feel like I should be playing the TV series theme song. Ficon, you were 2 when the game came out. Well, you just made me feel old. Wow. Oh my God, look at my pits. They're so sweaty. Look at this. Wait, can you even see it on vertical? Probably not. You know what? It's fine. I got sweaty pits. We're also experiencing a really crazy heat wave in New York, where for the last week and a half, no, for the last, yeah, week and a half, it's been 90 plus degrees every day with like around 70 to 80% humidity. It's been awful, awful. And for those who don't know Fahrenheit, it's been 32.2 degrees Celsius for like a week and a half straight. It's been awful. Very, very awful. Very uncomfortable. So, yeah. How else is everybody doing? How's everyone enjoying? How is everyone's week so far? Anyone got some interesting plans for the weekend since it is closely upon us? Imagine our heat wave. Sometimes hurricanes take out the electricity. Yeah, I've heard that in some locations. That's crazy. I mean, I'll still never forget the major blackout that we experienced here on the East Coast that one year. What was this? 2000. I forgot the year, but I remember I was working in Manhattan. You know, and I've always lived in Queens, so I had to walk from Manhattan to Queens because it took out everything, the subways, all that stuff, and it took me because it happened in the afternoon, almost 12 hours to get home on foot during a heat wave in the middle of summer. I forgot what year that was, but that was disastrous. Coming home, my fridge is not working. You know, worried that all my food was going to get spoiled. No TV, no internet, so it was hard to keep up to date with what's happening. So I had to pull out an old radio that would still work. Crazy, crazy stuff. Well, that's funny. So apparently George Lucas is trending on X right now for some reason. Why? Why? What are people saying? What are people saying? And I'm trying to see why that is. Here's an interesting quote from a post. The Acolyte follows the prequels in showing the Jedi are flawed. See? What was I saying? They believe their way is the only way to use the Force, and they have a right to take kids from their home. The Jedi as bad guys or flawed is not a new idea for the Acolyte. The idea comes from George Lucas himself. So I guess there's obviously a lot of backlash because of this last episode of the Acolyte, as if the discourse wasn't bad enough. Another post says the worst people in the fandom praising an entire trilogy created by George Lucas himself and somehow still not recognizing that one of the main themes is that the Jedi's overconfidence directly led to their downfall, proves that media literacy is dead. There you have it. If someone put a post about a young George Lucas and how stylish he was, that's so funny. Is there a way to guess you can't really maybe latest. George, why have you forsaken us? I would say you've forsaken me. Here's another random comment. Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars. It's lore-breaking trash. It doesn't respect the real Star Wars, parentheses, George Lucas's 6 movies, the EU, etc. It's just a random sci-fi franchise, nothing more. I don't agree with that. Ficon, I'm going to go play FIFA with my friends now, so I hope you have a good rest of the stream. Ficon, always a pleasure to have you on board. I'm glad that you were able to join in this time. I hope I get to see you next time. Enjoy FIFA. Enjoy. Scottish Geek Guy! What's going on, man? How's the channel going? I see your videos that you're posting. Very cool stuff. Haven't even started to act like yet. Zero hype or even motivation for it. Well, I mean, here's a question for you, Scottish Geek Guy. I mean, are you a Star Wars fan? Are you like a big Star Wars fan or just casual? Star, no, he forsaken us. No, I forsaken you. No, wait, that's what you said. Oh no, you just did a Jedi mind trick on me. Arrgh! You blew it! Huge Star Wars fan. Okay. I would say that this series is worth checking out when you get a chance. Is it must-watch TV? No, it's not. But as a fan, I think it is something that is worth seeing for yourself. You know? And I agree. The Disney Plus shows have been extremely varied quality-wise. Like for me, this is still how I look at things. Andor, that's your HBO level, top tier type of storytelling. Very good stuff. First 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, brilliant television. Then season 3 kind of ruined things. After that, A for effort for Obi-Wan. Let's see. Boba Fett, what happened? Big swing and a miss on that one. Ahsoka, since if you're a big fan of the Clone Wars cartoon and Rebels, Ahsoka is going to be right up your alley. If you're not, but you've followed the live action series, Ahsoka is decent. Just decent, right? So I think The Acolyte, in my opinion, will be around Ahsoka to Mando season 3 level for most people. For me, I find it entertaining. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I find it entertaining, and I like they're kind of flipping the script a little bit, but they're also solidifying things that the prequels kind of hinted on. And basically it's how the Jedi are flawed, how the Jedi are, their rules were not always supposed to be the grand rule of them all, and how that could be the problem that's being caused around them. So it's just, and plus it's interesting, variant different takes on Force usage and how to look at the Force. So, you know, that's what I would say. And if that sounds interesting to you, then it could be worth checking out. Ahsoka in The Mandalorian was me. I totally agree. That one episode of Ahsoka in The Mandalorian was fantastic. Brilliant. But Ahsoka gets too in like Clone Wars, like you had to have seen. Yeah, no, I agree. Not just Clone Wars, Rebels, because once you start, um, once they start to introduce Sabine and what's his face, Ezra. If you didn't watch Rebels, you're probably like, who the fuck are these guys, right? But even the way they managed that, I felt was a missed opportunity. You know, it was okay, and it's always. I'll be honest too. Seeing Hayden Christensen back reprising Anakin, I really enjoyed that. You know, and it's nice that he's finally getting a proper respect, especially in his in these years of his life. It's always great to see that the fandom loves him, and I thought he did a good job in Ahsoka. And George was there. I was not there. I was there in spirit, and yeah, and on occasion, Filoni, my good buddy Dave Filoni, he's a cool kid. He's a good kid. He invites me on sets. I played with Baby Yoda. Grogu. Hey, Grogu. Hey, little Grogu. Hey, little buddy. I like you. You're so cute. You remind me of my dog. Oh, yeah. I enjoy my time there. You know what? Huh? I made my money. Peace out, bitches. You know what Acolyte is missing? Space. It's not that kind of show. See, now that's a show I'm still hoping for. My fingers are still crossed that Patty Jenkins, her rebel assault, her kind of Top Gun in space, I hope that show gets made, because that would be just fun. That would just be pure fun entertainment that I would love to see. Yeah, Starlight, it's just not your show. Yeah, this is just not the show for that. You know? I get it. I get it. But movie-wise, I guess the one interesting piece of news to talk about, since we're on the topic of Star Wars, is it was rumored and announced that Sean Levy is directing a Star Wars movie, right? Or at least that's the plan. And now it looks like Sean has a writer in mind for this. So let me just switch over to this article real quick here. Sean Levy's Star Wars gets described. Filmmaker Sean Levy is currently out promoting his Deadpool and Wolverine film alongside its stars Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. In the coming days, he's inevitably going to be asked about the Star Wars film he has in development. But before he does, it seems the Insnider got an update already from their own sources, or his own sources. In November 2022, Levy was set to direct a Star Wars movie, a film separate from the 3 other officially announced projects in development. Work on it stalled due to the writer's strike and Levy's Marvel commitments, but it's back in development, and today's report indicates he's bringing a regular collaborator with him. Jonathan Tropper, the creator and showrunner of acclaimed Cinemax series Warrior, and co-creator of Banshee, has reportedly been hired to pen the script for Levy's film. Tropper has worked with Levy twice before. He wrote the screenplays for Levy's 2014 ensemble comedy There Is Where I Leave You, and 2022's Ryan Reynolds-led The Adam Project. Previously, Levy has said that Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy first recruited him because she explained to him she wants a story and a tone that reflects you and your taste and what you bring to your movies. Tropper is also behind the upcoming Apple TV Plus series Your Friends and Neighbors. So that would be interesting if that comes into fruition. But based on what Sean is known for, which is like kind of off the wall action mixed in with comedy, would that make for a good Star Wars film? Who knows? We'll see. Sean has also directed many episodes of Stranger Things, and those episodes turned out to be very well done. So that could also be a good thing too. Starler is still bitter that there's no space battles in The Acolyte, and now he wants to call the show Ground Wars. Hold on, guys. Just checking my phone. Make sure that the world around me isn't blowing up. All right. So, yeah. So, another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to call it for the day. So, whatever you guys want to talk about, let me know in the chat. Again, really appreciate all the support. I appreciate your patience, too, guys. I know I haven't been streaming much this past week. I think my voice is getting better. I don't know if you can still hear it. But I greatly appreciate you guys showing up big time today for my kind of return to streaming. So I'm very happy and very grateful and appreciative. Star Wars needs stars and something else I forgot. What is that? Oh yeah, Wars. Well, I can only imagine what we're going to get from Skeleton Crew that's coming out later this year. I don't think it's going to include a lot of that stuff either. But Jude Law will be in it, so that'll be interesting. Oh, you know what? Let me read this article too. This is an interesting article I saved here. I thought it was funny. And this is a direct result of the last episode. So, The Acolyte reveals not well received. Well, no shit. The 7th episode of the Star Wars series The Acolyte has premiered, and with it came some big reveals as to the central mystery of the series. Spoilers ahead for episode 7. Well, it's fine. We just talked about it. The new episode titled Choice returns to the flashback events on the planet Brandok, as seen in the 3rd episode. This time, however, it unfolds from the perspective of the Jedi as opposed to the kids. The episode finally revealed what actually went down that led to the twins' coven dying and just how the Jedi were involved. Again, I don't think the coven is dead. I think they just passed out. And I'm sure some saved themselves. The reveals include that the Jedi came to the planet to investigate a force of virgins. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, this is just recapping the episode. Okay. In the wake of the episode's launch, it has drawn the 2nd most negative reviews of this series so far on IMDb, behind only its companion 3rd episode. Even the critics agree with Rotten Tomatoes critic score at just 50%, whereas the other episode so far has been 80 or above. What did you think? Wow. Is the community just are the fans just not loving the whole coven situation? Is that really what it is? Do they not like to see the Jedi in such a bad light? Could that also be the case there? Such discourse. It's kind of funny to actually see. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's warranted? I think it's a little bit too extreme, in my opinion. But then again, we live in a day and age where the internet, their voices are so much stronger than anybody else, right? So I'm not surprised. See, if this was a movie, fans wouldn't need to be harsh on a numbered episode. See, I wonder if this was a movie, right? Again, we would have to see how everything concludes next week with the last episode. But it would be interesting to see what people would think if this was just one long, like 2-hour long story told in a movie way. if people would feel the same as they do now. Again, we would have to see how it all concludes, right? They would just hate the whole damn thing and move on, I guess. But I guess also, in a way, you could kind of expect that since it is a series, not every episode is going to hit a home run, right? I remember there were moments in Breaking Bad where I thought there were some episodes that were like a little bit weaker than others, but not terribly. So I guess, again, the loudest voices are usually the minority, but they're the ones that will just do whatever they can to discredit something or downvote something, or it is what it is. At the end of the day, like what you like, enjoy what you enjoy. Everyone is free to do that. Hate what you hate, that's fine. Just don't tell other people that they're stupid for thinking one way or the other. Like this guy, this JJ, who came into the vertical stream and said, does this show actually like Acolyte? I don't know why I'm his show. We're talking about a series that I'm actively watching and giving my opinion on. I don't understand that. Does this show actually like the Acolyte? Come on. You say anything else? Colonels, what's going on? Nice to see you again. I haven't been streaming for a minute, so it's nice to see you here. Did you like the Eddie Murphy movie? Rough start, but really enjoyed the movie. All right. Star-Lord, who is in the other stream, I know loved the movie. Can't stop talking about it. I reviewed it last week. I will say this. It was a decent movie. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I think Eddie Murphy is smart in doing what he's doing with Netflix now compared to what he did with Amazon when it came to Coming to America, right? They gave us a little bit of the nostalgia stuff, and it basically was just like watching one of the classic Beverly Hills Cop movies from back in the day. Just in a modern setting and all that. I felt like a lot of stuff were kind of like rehashed in a way, But overall, it was, for the most part, entertaining. Now, I do have problems with the ending. I thought the little ending, the car scene particularly, was just like shoved in there. I felt like they didn't really know how to end the movie, and they wanted to give us a nice, again, a little nostalgic throwback of the three of them having their little conversation and all that. The whole daughter thing was definitely an interesting kind of twist, and in a way tropey. I love the fact that they are estranged, but then because of this one thing that they have to work together on, they find out that they're more similar to each other than they thought. So it's pretty cute. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, kind of like his chemistry with the group. In a way, we kind of see Joseph Gordon-Levitt being one of like the older guys, like the Taggart and Billy, kind of like how they work with Axel was like how Joseph did too. So it was fine. It was perfectly fine. I thought it was entertaining. It was decent. It was fun. Star-Lord fans love The Force Awakens, but once you break it into 3 parts, it becomes risky. Don't hate anything. Just be honest. I just riff. I don't look down on people because of something insignificant as being a fan or something. Well, I mean, that's usually what you're supposed to do, right? So, but there's some people who are so hell-bent on punching down on people because they're passionate about something or they like something, I never understood that mentality. And I have friends who are like that. And I try to explain to them, it's like, why are you punching down on people who like something? Just because you don't? Yeah, it's weird. People are weird. Colonels, what's next on my watch list? So I already watched Longlegs. I did watch that. I was honored to be invited to a screening of that last week. Um, I'm supposed to have a review up on the channel. I'm hoping to have it either tonight or tomorrow morning. Um, I've been sick, so I haven't been able to do much this past week. So this is my first time actually doing anything for like over a week. Not over a week, since last Friday. So, but what I want to do is because Michael Monroe, who is the lead actress in Longlegs, I'm not very familiar with her movies at all. So what I'm going to try to do tonight in time for tomorrow's stream is I'm going to go back and watch It Follows. There are three main movies that she is known for. I think it's It Follows. So basically, I'm going to go back and watch some older movies. It Follows. I believe another one's like The Changing or The Challenging or something like that. But basically, I'm going to go back to Micah Monroe's filmography, and I'm going to talk about her tomorrow in tomorrow's stream because people are now claiming her to be the new main scream queen, you know. And then I guess you could put Mia Goth along with that as well. So I want to go back and talk about her because I know a lot of people are going to be buzzing and talking about Longlegs this weekend. Mentioned something about Bad Boys. You mean like the Bad Boys movies? I do sound hoarse, right? Yeah, I'm getting better. But I had a fever for like almost 2 days, so it really knocked the whole energy out of me. It took me a while to kind of get back. I think this is the best I've sounded in literally 4 days. No, not the challenge, not the changeling. Yeah, I think that is Angelina Jolie. Hold on, let me just look it up so that I know what I'm talking about here. I'm sorry, I was completely wrong. It's The Watcher, not to be confused with Watchers, which is the Ishana Shyamalan movie, but it's Watcher. So I'm gonna be watching It Follows, Watcher, and The Guest. I'm gonna be watching The Guest. I haven't seen these movies before, but a lot of people within the horror community, the horror thriller community, are saying like these are modern day must watches and pure definitions of like her career so far and why they are considering her to be the current main screen queen. So I'll give them a shot and I'll let all of you know my thoughts about them. Last time we spoke, you said you were going to watch the new Bad Boys movie and review it. Oh, I already saw it. Yeah, there's. If you look on the channel, I have reviewed it. I reviewed it on a previous stream before. Yeah, I think I was just talking about it because I think the topic of Bad Boys came up or something like that. So yeah, I already saw it. I thought it surprised me very much like Beverly Hills Cop. Bad Boys surprised me. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, and I did. I thought it was very well done, very entertaining. Starlord, I like some things about the Acolyte. With that being said, kill me, please. Wow! What the hell?
Wow. Wow.
Don't know where that came from, Starlord. That's a little out of nowhere. What about you, Colonels? Are you planning to watch anything this weekend? Are you a horror guy? Are you like a big horror thriller guy? All right, give me 1 second. Just checking my phone. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Oh no, 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 no. I accidentally loaded a game on my phone. Ooh, who haven't heard that in a long time? Look what I did. I accidentally loaded Altered Beast on my phone. Talk about retro classics. There you go. So, how the hell do I get out of here? That's funny how that just popped up. That's hilarious. Okay, don't kill me. Just put me in carbonite. Do you want to just rest for a while? Carbonite could be a good way to go. Yes, I love horror movies, but nothing is good out right now. I'm telling you, I think Longlegs is going to be a major hit of the year. I call it. I'll say this on my Letterboxd review. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I said that it's probably the best horror movie of the year. Without seeing all of them, hands down for me, I think it's probably going to end up being the best horror movie of the year. Nicolas Cage is fantastic, eerie, creepy, disturbing, all of that stuff. The story itself is very fascinating. It's like one of those storylines like you don't necessarily know where it's going to go. And yeah, Micah Monroe was fantastic. And again, I'm not very familiar with her, so just seeing her in this role was really eye-opening. Hence why I want to kind of see her other stuff. Colonel's just finished the new season of Suits. I never watched Suits. That's the one with Meghan Markle in it, right? Longlegs releases in theaters today or tomorrow. I guess officially tomorrow, but the previews are tonight. And it's funny too. You could tell that there's such major anticipation for this movie because if I go to let's see, what's a good site for that? Let's go to Regal Cinemas. Something I've been noticing that there is like a fever of people wanting to see this movie. So if I go choose Longlegs, choose my location, right? And let's pick a popular movie theater here. So okay, so first showings in the city for this movie is around 7 p.m. Already one in a very busy part of the city is sold out, right? Let's see another showing. I just want to get to the part where I choose my seat. Why won't you let me log in? Okay, hold on. Hold, please. Okay, you're being a pain in the ass. Hold on. Let me check something else. Here, this will help out. Regal Cinemas. Okay. So let's do this again. Jesus, why does it keep asking me to log in? All right, here we go. So yeah, let's do. God, it still kills me that tickets are as expensive as they are. $19.50 in the city. Madness. Madness. That's why I do the pass. I do like the movie pass. Yeah, I'm checking, and like a lot of seats are taken up for tonight, and I'm sure even more so tomorrow. I had people commenting on a post I had on the channel because I took a picture of my screening before the screening started last week, and someone commented that they were planning to take the day off to watch the movie tomorrow. There's such a high anticipation for this movie, you know. So it's going to be really interesting to see what people think about it when they have a chance to see it. Um, let's see. What do I think of the Rotten Tomatoes rating structure? I think it's flawed, to be very honest with you. I heard people like those who are official Rotten Tomatoes critics who have a chance to log their scores. I heard some of them talk about how exactly the structure works. And it definitely works on a scale. But what I don't understand is I think the way the scale works is that anything above a 3-star rating is considered fresh, right? But that's not a great indicator that a movie's actually really good, right? Because let's say, for example, you have 10 critics rating a movie, and they all said that it's okay, but it's not great, you know, blah blah blah, this and that, and they all decide to give it a 3-star rating. So according to Rotten Tomatoes score, that would be 100% fresh. So if people don't dive in to look at each individual scores, they just see that and it's like, oh wow, everyone seems to love this movie, I gotta go check it out. It's not a great indicator as to how good a movie is, in my opinion. And there's something off about Rotten Tomatoes too. When that controversy came out about them, some of the critics there being coerced or paid to give higher ratings for a certain movie through payment or through marketing, I was not a big fan of that. But then I'm just like, oh, big surprise. I'm sure this happens all the time. It's just they just got caught this one time, you know. So I think it's flawed. I think it's a little outdated. I think it needs to be updated, but it's still a respected measure for a lot of people when it comes to movies. Of course, you have Metacritic also. A lot of people follow Metacritic. They send their Cinema Score. Cinema Score is another respected rating service. I don't know the details behind the two, so I can't speak. Metacritic scores are usually lower, so I don't know what the aggregate is that they use, but those are the other ones. Oh, of course, oh man, growing up, I used to love watching Siskel and Ebert on TV, especially because they used to fight with each other all the time. They had so many disagreements at the movies, right? Isn't that the name of their show? At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert. And I love how it looks like they're sitting in a movie theater and they just like turn to each other and talk about the movie and all that. Yeah, they were definitely an influence of mine growing up as to why I always loved movies and loved talking about movies and why I eventually do what I do now here. Starler saying he's about to upload a video, got Rihanna edit with a mashup called Faster Diamonds. All right. Everyone, if you don't know, Starlord7, a big fan of the channel and longtime viewer and a very cool dude. He likes to do remixes, musical video remixes. So check out his channel if you want to check out the stuff that he does. Stars, I like them. They were serious. Yeah, they were serious. Sometimes a little bit too serious. And there are some things that Ebert liked that I questioned. You know, like I felt like I gelled more with Siskel in taste in movies. Ebert was just, I don't know, sometimes a little bit off for me. Do I watch sports movies? Yeah, I do. On occasion, I do. Not as much as I used to. I feel like, well, I also feel like there were a lot more sports movies in the 80s and 90s compared to now. What about you, Colonels? Do you have like a favorite sports movie of yours? For me, I think it will always be Major League. I love Major League. It's one of the great sports comedies out there. Major League. Another good one is The Sandlot. You can't help but talk about The Sandlot when you're talking about sports movies. Cool Runnings. Love Cool Runnings. Late Jake John Candy in that one. The Natural with Robert Redford. That's a classic. I've never watched Field of Dreams. That's I have holes in my filmography, like in my film watching history, and that's definitely a major hole in mine. So that's something that I need to go back and watch when I have a chance. Dodgeball is another one I can think of. More current, recent, modern sports comedies. Two for the Money with Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey. I know the movie. I never seen it though. If you so gambling. Now I was thinking more of like Rounders and 21, but that had nothing to do with sports. So oh, Star Lord, anytime, anytime. It's the least I can do. I can't just I can't just like react to your videos on stream anymore because I got flagged the last time I did it. Colonel's Rounders and 21 are good degenerate movies. The good old days. I those movies are fun. I found those movies to be really fun. Especially was it which one was it was based on a true story? Was it Rounders or yeah, I think it was Rounders, right? Or 21. I forget which one it was. 21. Okay, yeah. 21 was the one with was that the one with Giovanni Ribisi and the cop was Lawrence Fishburne? Was that the one? Yeah, the MIT students. Yeah. Kevin Spacey was in that movie, right? I don't know. Are we allowed to talk about Kevin Spacey anymore? It sucks because Kevin Spacey is tied to a lot of favorite movies of mine. Usual Suspects, Baby Driver. Um, One of my favorite all-time Christmas movies is The Ref with Kevin Spacey and who's that comedian who had a short acting career? He's the one that came out with that song, "Asshole." I'm an asshole. He's an asshole. You're an asshole. Yo yo. There are like so many other multi fandom editors out there. There are, but you have your own voice. Kevin Spacey's more space than Acolyte. That's funny. It's terrible how Hollywood uses you and they abuse you, but when you do that, go then they don't like you. Hollywood is a Hollywood just to say is just an interesting beast in its own. It really is. Yeah. You could be hot one day and then you could be completely cold the next, and vice versa. It's an interesting beast. Yep. What? Yeah. Absolutely. What have you done for me lately? That is so true. And not just Hollywood. I mean, music. You know, a lot of corporate America is usually like that. I am Sam. I have that. I am Sam is what's his name? The guy who used to be married to Madonna, right? People are often blacklisted in Hollywood, but good work is good work. Yeah, that's why like I have no problems personally separating the art from the artist, you know? I can still go back and watch The Usual Suspects and not judge, right? I can still watch Braveheart and not judge. But I understand it. You know, it's a it's a tough situation for some when they really don't like somebody or when someone does something so heinous, right? I mean, when you can you go back and watch the original 2000 X-Men and not think of who directed it and what that person ended up doing? Unfortunately, trouble was made, trouble was gotten. Yeah. Whatever happened to Adrian Grenier? Adrian Grenier. I need to be reminded as to who that is. Adrian Grenier. Oh, this guy, Mr. Entourage. Yeah, I don't know whatever happened to this guy. He was in a movie called Clickbait in 2021. He's also a musician. So who knows? I don't know. I bet you if he was smart enough, he made so much money off of Entourage that he can now choose what he wants to do. Right? At least that's what you would think or hope for someone like that. Because Entourage was such a huge success for him, right? So yeah, he was in Devil's Wear Prada. Hey, they're making a sequel, so maybe he'll come back for that. What's going on, Mackie? Now we're not doing so much gossip here. We're just talking about Hollywood. That's all. You don't know what happened to X-Men. You don't know what happened to the director of X-Men? Was that Brett Ratner? Is it Brett Ratner who directed X-Men? No, not Brett Ratner. Who is the name of the X-Men director? When is Devil Wears Prada 2 coming out? They're currently working on it. They just made the announcement, I think, last week or this week. Hold on, let me pull up the news article for you here. Yeah, let's see. Right here, a sequel to the hit film Devil's Wear Prada is reportedly in the works, with Meryl Streep and Emily Blunt set to reprise their roles. So I don't know if Anne Hathaway will return in it, but those two are set to return in it so far. Is he some kind of mutant or something? No, I wouldn't say that. Bryan Singer, that's who I'm talking about. Okay, so Bryan Singer, Bryan Singer, he was actually accused of grooming young men, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So yeah, yeah. In this day and age when what people who just have YouTube channels are sometimes even more popular than celebrities. There are definitely a lot of options for people nowadays to do things. You know, and just like I remember when if you were a movie star, that's all you were. You couldn't really do anything else. It's nice to see how it's reversed now that if you're a movie star, but you can also now be a TV star and you could do television, right? You know, before it was the huge struggle for television actors to turn into movie stars. But now television is becoming so much more so much bigger with budgets increasing and storytelling improving and quality improving that now you have so many movie stars now going to TV. So they don't have to necessarily rely on movies alone. It's still Hollywood. It's still the beast that is Hollywood, but at least there are options. And worst case scenario, you could be like that girl from The Sopranos and just start an OnlyFans and make tons of money. Yeah, the whole Kevin Spacey situation wasn't more about grooming. I think it was more just about relationships or questionable relationships with younger men, right? I think in Singer's case, he was actually uh, accused of grooming on multiple occasions, like that. Colonels, I watch CNBC. They're always discussing how giant studios are partnering with influencers for advertising. Yeah, I think that's a huge mistake. I hate seeing that. And look, I don't consider myself to be anything close to and being an influencer or anything like that. I talk about what I'm passionate about and I talk about it. And I get it. A lot of these influencers have huge followings, so they think by partnering with them, they're able to reach a newer and broader audience, right? An audience that's kind of hard to reach now because unlike how it was back in the day, everyone was watching network television. That means commercials, trailers, all that stuff meant something because everyone would be made aware of what studios are doing. Now you have a newer, younger generation who don't watch cable TV, who don't watch network television. They need to find a way to reach them. So I understand that concept. But have you seen what these influencers do as far as their marketing of these like certain movies? They're now being invited to red carpets and interviews and panels, and they do the dumbest things. And a lot of them end up pissing celebrities off, which is like this stupid thing. Like, wasn't there an influencer who has like a huge following and he was on a red carpet and all when he was asked to interview celebrities and he would just mumble at them and every celebrity had no idea what he was saying and they were getting pissed off. And yet this is who you want to help market your movie? You know, it's so asinine, in my opinion. But hey, if that's what they want to do? Again, on the business side of things, I get it. You need to find a way to find the new generation. You need to find a way to reach young kids. And unfortunately, that's through TikTok, Instagram, you know, those kinds of things. Now celebrities are passing away and my childhood is dying. And again, I have to mention the great Shelley Duvall. I mean, growing up, she was, again, someone that I was very familiar with. Yeah, not just because of the movie The Shining, you know, Popeye, the live action movie, and like I mentioned before, Fairy Tale Theater, which was like a major part of my childhood growing up. The quality of products is getting bad. Yeah, I mean it's changing. It's definitely changing. Some of it is bad, some of it's still good, but it's definitely changing for sure. Yeah, Colonels, that was always going to be a conflict in business. especially in corporate America. And I know I come from the advertising world. So if you're going to be talking about moral and morality and business, I know firsthand how that really doesn't mix. All right, guys, I think I'm going to head out because I feel like my voice is slowly getting disappearing from me. I apologize, but I'm glad I was able to be here for 3 hours and talk to all of you. I'm glad I was able to catch up with a lot of you, those of you who showed up. That's right. We, the community, whoa, that's a long time to say. LOWKEY. We here as a LOWKEY won't stand for all this craziness in Hollywood, but we'll still talk about it, right? So, money is amoral, so I guess it makes sense. Yep. Well, what can you do? But Colonels, thank you so much. I'm going to try to stop talking soon. Star-Lord, you know how much I appreciate you every time. But I'm going to head on out. I'll be back tomorrow, talk about some movies and movie news. So let's have some fun with that. But real quick before I go, big shout out to Ficon, Scottish Geek Guy, who all chimed in earlier on. Of course, Arnold. I think Arnold fell asleep because he has work early in the morning. Key Plays, and who else? Tanmesh. Sorry that we weren't able to recommend any good movie or series for you, but you know, we'll think about it. I'll still mull it over, and if you come back, we'll definitely have some recommendations. Scorch, Clone Wars for Life, Tiny Gucci, Philip. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else I may have missed. Of course, we were pleasantly surprised by Joe Rogan earlier. It wasn't the real Joe Rogan, but you know, he played along for a very long time. He was trying his best to be very convincing. But I appreciate all of you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope to see you again tomorrow. So until then, nope, let's not do that one. Nope, let's do this one. Let's go. Until I see you, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks, everybody. Again, I really, really appreciate all of you. Bye.